Yeah, we find her, the beautiful girl we've been missing. We wanna have her kissing. We find her, now we in love. Say go so, the remix.
DMB, Tuck Spice, remix.
Now if I had to lose you like a bad phone connection, I'd change my game to get a better reception. Sit back, let's start this interaction. Don't fight the feelings, just a chain reaction. Your heart won't give you the wrong instructions. Like my GPS, yes I got the right direction. We gotta merge together like a road intersection. Last stop is gonna be my love and affection. I ain't like the mother dudes, they wanna call you shorty, but I'ma call you a beautiful girl. I took your picture home, my mama saw it, she's a very, very beautiful girl. I wanna put you in my video, cause you're so beautiful. You're a beautiful girl. So when you hear us on your radio, turn up your stereo. It's beautiful girl.
Gotta find a shorty, what's worth of a lady. It's nice but maybe doesn't look like 40. It's taking a little time. I wasn't seeing no signs, any traces of my baby. Who's gonna be my baby? But I thought I'm gonna take my time. Within it took a long fun eye. I saw a shorty passing by. She's got this very pretty smile. It was right at the bus station. I tried to make a conversation, holding her arms, feeling so tough. I felt the sensation. It's been a while that I've been trying to find a beautiful girl. Now I realize I found me a beautiful girl. She's a model, she's so fine. I just wanna take it by. Beautiful girl. Sparkling eyes are killing tight. I found me a beautiful girl.
My wish came true when I saw you, girl. God must have blessed me with your beauty, girl. Looking so right from your head to your toe. Shaped like a cocoa bottle with a smile of a queen. My queen to be, you my destiny. Got a body of a goddess with your beauty. I'm impressed and I'm never in distress. Come on over and be mine. Been searching for a man and now all the cats keep looking to mine. With a sexy walk and a sexy talk. She must be from the planet called the sexy world. I know I ain't tripping, better yet I'm thinking put a ring on the finger. We look good together. Take your place in my heart. With your beauty I'ma say that I'll never turn away. Who would think I'm in love?
Such the way she smiles at me just really makes me weak. The way she speaks to me just really make me go so weak. Keep staring in her eyebrows. All I kept on saying is wow. Your beauty shines and breeze at night. All I really want in my life. Oh yeah. It's been a while that I've been trying to find a beautiful girl. Fine brown eyes. I found me a beautiful girl. She's my model, she's so fine. I just wanna take it. Beautiful girl. Sparkling eyes, killing tight. I found me a beautiful girl. Yeah. Beautiful girl. One beautiful girl, yeah. Beautiful girl.
Damn. Money. You seen her? Hot Ice. Have you seen her? LP. Have you seen her? I'ma go over to Tux Bites. I know you've probably seen her. He has a lot of beautiful girls with him. Tux, it's DMB, baby. Look. Beautiful. I look for a while, but I can't seem to find a beautiful girl so I can make her mine. Time after time, I've been searching for a while, but every girl I meet never seems worthwhile. What can I do? I pray to God for an answer. I feel pains in my heart like cancer, and when I find her, I'm gonna romance her. Lace several presents and gifts. Call me Santa Claus. I make a heartbeat pause. That's my girl, homeboy, not yours. The girl of my dreams, she's more than I ever thought. Show me Aston Kutcher. I think I'm getting punked. She's what I really want, so I'm a go-getter. Since I'm a go-getter, you know I'm gon' get her. And I will give her the world. Anything for my beautiful girl.
Psych. Ooh, it's been a while that I've been trying to find a beautiful girl. Fine brown eyes. I found me a beautiful girl. She's my model, she's so fine. I just wanna take it. Beautiful girl. Sparkling night, killing time. I found a beautiful girl.
Girl, it's your love that I've been missing. I miss all your hugs, your touching and kissing. Make love on the floor, the couch in the kitchen. One love enough, we done enough.
All right, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. Pop-up show. Shout out to all three of you, or two, or one of you watching me. I just have to put my commentary on this. I'll allow everybody to get to it when they get to it. But welcome. I see you, Chinye. Good to see you. I think there's somebody else also from Obodo Yimbo. Let me just see who that is. Tonya, good to see you, Tonya. Good to see you. And Chinye. All right, so all two of you. Let's talk. We gotta talk about this issue here. Oh man, there's a lot of conversation going on around this conversation right here. Eboni K. Williams, this lady right here. Okay. And I want us to talk about it. There's a lot of relationship confused with community talk. And I just thought it would be a good opportunity to extract some lessons with some of the struggle with modern dating, modern day relationships and marriages. Yeah. How everybody's talking about the boss now, but they're all capping. They're full of it. They're just struggling with dating and marriage. That's all it is. Okay. That's all it is. And if they're struggling with dating and marriage, it only makes sense. Okay? It only makes sense that they point fingers at anything but self. And I want to prove that today. I'm going to take some time to prove that today. Okay? But welcome. My name is Ola. I'm coming to you live from my Empire Pro Studios. That's all I'm going to talk about in this moment. Okay? We did have a show scheduled for 10:30 at night later on. I'm not sure if I'll still do that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be reacting to a video from the Breakfast Club. I'm not sure if iHeart will flag it. So if you want to support with super chats or anything like that, that will be perfect, because they might end up demonetizing this video. Just so you know. Okay? Because I will be reacting within the fair use guidelines, but you know, iHeart is powerful. So I might not have the necessary juice to fight that, okay? But they might even shut down the stream in the middle of it. Who knows? All right. But yeah, welcome back. I was working. Today is one of those days where I'm like, you know what? I just want to do what I want to do. Okay. I want to do what I want to do, right? Typically, I'm starting to push the shows to late night because, for obvious reasons, you know, so I can do work that's actively feeding my family right now, and then we'll reserve Men of Prestige. I love you all, the Prestige family, but you know. But today I was like, I want to do what I want to do, right? So, and I saw this conversation going on everywhere, and I was like, you know what? Let's talk about Eboni K. Williams. We did cover it. We did like a part one, okay? And I think we should revisit where this conversation came from, and then we'll take it from there, okay? So she was on a show. I'm going to share the screen right now. She was on a show called The Griot. Okay, just in case you're brand new here, and you stumble into this later on, this is Men of Prestige, and basically what we do is we talk about trendy topics, but we basically try to extract relationship driven lessons relationship-based lessons from trending topics. Okay, we cover American news, celebrity news, and we also cover a lot of Nigerian celebrity news. I am Nigerian, just in case my accent is too posh and you can't hear it yet, right? Yeah, right.
Stop the cap.
Yeah, so just in case you're wondering, I am Nigerian, so I do cover Nigeria celebrities, American celebrities, but really all I'm trying to do is extract modern day relationship, dating, marriage lessons. That's all I am doing. That's what it's about. Okay, so just in case you're wondering, we cover relationships, self-power, social and emotional intelligence. Then we cover seduction and attraction, and then love. Okay, I know everybody's capping. Love is not enough, but they crave for love. They want love. Let's be honest, right? So we have to keep talking about love because clearly now they struggle with love. Okay. Why did I say Una? Okay, all of us. Let's just say all of us. Okay. But yeah, that's what we'll talk about here. And I have a book that you can. I have 4 books, but you can go download one of them. Get My Marriage Back at loveandprestige.com. You can also book a coaching over there, and if you want to be notified, you can be notified over here, lolaanola.com/WhatsApp. You can join the WhatsApp group. All right, so let's talk really quickly about this Eboni K. Williams issue. Okay, let's see. All right, so let's go there. So the video started a few days ago. She did a video. Okay, I'm going to share the screen. She has a show that goes live every evening, I guess. And she invited Iyanla Vanzant, and they did this video. I'm going to just go ahead and play a little bit of it. All right. All right. So we're going to go. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. There you go.
Here with us today on the Griot. I want to start, dear, with something that we share, which is that we are both attorneys by trade. You are a lawyer, you have a legal background, and as
What's
women
up, Daya?
in
What's
the
going on,
law,
Daya?
Iyanla, do you believe that lens, that legal lens, informs our perspective and the way we show up in the world as women?
Oh, absolutely. And that's why I got out. Yeah.
All right, so they were talking. I'm going to fast forward a little bit to a point where she asked questions about, modern women being masculine, which is a fact. Now, let me start with this. Being masculine or feminine, either one, none of them are. It's not a criminal behavior. It's basically, we're talking particularly in terms of energy, okay? Not dictionary meaning. Dictionary meaning only tells you that is gender based, okay? Male is to masculine, female is to feminine. The reality is that that's not true. Our social construct does expect a male human being to be a little bit more masculine or carry more masculine energy, but it's more or less expectation and just a social reality, not necessarily the whole holistic reality, okay? Masculine is not synonymous to male. Feminine is not synonymous to female. All right. Now, the feminine energy does tend to show up more in a female because of our social construct, used to. But now, the truth is that women are engaging their masculine energy more. Okay. They're providing, they're protecting, they're assertive, they're more aggressive in terms of being ambitious, right? And that's tampering with our social dynamics, right? Especially with respect to romantic relationships. And that's what's creating a lot of confusion. So she asked a good question. I'm trying to see if I can find the question.
I'm crazy when I say sit down, shut up, and listen, and you can create what you want. They don't want a woman in her power. There's a distinction, but there are skills and tools and practices and processes that we have to learn. At every age, the 20s have a process, the 30s have a process, the 40s have a 50s, 60s. We each have a process. The damage I did to my children, who I love with all my heart. As soon as I discovered how off I was, I confessed.
So in this same video, Miss Iyanla Vanzant admitted a lot to also carrying that masculine energy, and she's an alpha female. She said alpha and masculine are not synonymous either, but they tend to be used interchangeably. So context, right?
To that, and ask them to.
Okay. I'm looking forward to straightening my crown, Dr. Ayana. Let me ask you this. Let's get to the logistics, though. Let's get to the logistics. We know that black women are earning college degrees faster than anybody else. Many of us are doing like we're doing, Ayana. We're getting those terminal degrees, those JDs, MD, PhDs. We also are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs, along with Latina women in America. Pew Research said that women are now out-earning men in 22 of the largest cities in America, including where I live, New York, DC, LA, you name it. When we talk, and I know that you've said that you cannot teach a man or tell a man how to be a man, so I will not ask you to indict men in this question.
Larry, what's up?
I do want you to speak, Ayanla, to how women need to, position ourselves so that we can be in our divinity, so we can have our crowns right, how we can create and not build, when some of us, quite frankly, feel that the men that are available to us, and I'm talking about across the color spectrum, across the age spectrum, trust me, I've done them all, they are not positioned to protect nor provide because of some of the statistics we just talked about. They're not earning the incomes.
So in no way, shape, or form, she didn't say anything about black men here. She said men in general. But of course, right now on social media, it sounds like she was just talking about black people. Well, it eventually became about black people, black men, and she's doubled down, triple down since, so I'm gonna react to as much as I can. Okay. Her biggest mistake in the past 48 hours, which again I wouldn't really call it a mistake, because she's probably going to get some more clout from it, because she is a TV person. The more clout the better. But in terms of if this was a real life or somebody being shamed, the best thing she could have done is not respond. But it's okay that she responded. But she's responding, and she's basically responding and confirming what they've accused her of, basically. Okay. Now, on my first commentary, I did say that, if you're 39 and you're making $300,000 a year, and you're a multimillionaire, it's probably unrealistic expectations to be expecting you to date a bus driver. But she didn't even say she couldn't date a bus driver. She asked, I think she answered the question by saying, if he owns the bus, right? But then a lot of people they wrong with that, as she says she couldn't date a bus driver. That's not what she said. But we all do that, don't we? Right? We look for rhetorics that aligns with our existing biases, right? And then we just run with it, right? As long as it starts to sound like it, including all the men that claim to be logical. Everybody is running with their feelings. Everybody run with the rhetorics that fit their feelings. I'll be here. I'll keep talking about it. Let's keep going.
Not having the resources, and some of them are not even showing up in the leadership.
Would you date a bus driver?
There you go. That's the question that became problem. That's the question that everybody is talking about, that has become a serious problem right now. Would you date a bus driver? What was her answer?
Would you date
if he owns the bus? If he owns it. If he owns the bus.
See, that's a problem. That's a problem. Because the standards and requisites, and I'm not talking about him laying on his sofa playing video games all day. I'm not talking about that. But
no broken heads.
And the criteria that we use to measure men is off for who we are as women and who they are in this society. I would date a bus driver if he loved driving the bus, if he was a man of integrity.
So my commentary before was that, of course, Miss Ayala is about 71, 75 years old. Of course, she would say she would date a bus driver because she's been there, done that. She can see the value beyond just money, right? Now, at 39, I would hope that you start to see such value too, but again, there's nothing she said that's too off. And again, I think people should be allowed to have preferences, because people have always had preferences. Women have always had beyond preferences, fantasies, where eventually they settle for real value, right? Not for less, but real value. Eventually, if a man has game, regardless of what he does, he can step up to any woman as long as it's in the same circle. It becomes another conversation entirely if they're in a different circle, right? Class is a real thing, like I said, not classy, class, right? People belong in different classes, different status in society, different level of the pyramid, and people tend to date people that belong in their sector. Okay, either we're talking about economically speaking, race, right, religion, proximity. People tend to date people within their dimensions. Okay, I've done a video, I don't know, maybe almost a year ago, around 7 different dimensions that if you do cross those dimensions, you should be prepared that it might create hiccups, it might create friction, right? You should just be prepared for that. We've talked about that before. So there's nothing out of the ordinary that she's saying. She's just talking about preference. If he owns the bus, right? That's, to me, that does not translate to unrealistic expectations yet. I can't confirm that yet. Not from what she's just said. It could be, but it's not necessarily. It's none of that yet. Okay, let's keep going.
If he was good to his mama,
being good to your mama is not good enough to bad the chick you want. Get that through your skulls. Okay, it's not good enough. Okay, in reality, it's not good enough. Okay, it might be good enough for a 71-year-old woman. That makes sense because she's seen it all. She's been there, done that. But for you to expect that off of a younger woman, the younger they are, the more she's not going to settle for what she considers lower standard, or standards that she doesn't conform with, whatever. So I talk about unrealistic expectations here a lot. Okay, the unrealistic expectation is not based off of what is perfect, or what is. It's not based off of right and wrong. It's not based off of black and white. I'm just sharing with you the reality. In fact, you could turn around and say Eboni K. Williams is. You could turn around and say she's wrong. You have the right to your opinion. Okay, you're right if you think she's wrong.
Well, you're right.
However, the reality is what just presented itself to you. A lot of women will simply not be. They won't date below their income class. Okay, it's just what it is. Even if that means they're going to get old and die alone. If they're okay with that, you should be okay with that. You should keep it moving and find what you like in the marketplace. It's a big old marketplace. Okay, change your circles if you need to do that. Okay, but I'm guessing you're not going to do that. You're just going to jump on the internet and try to shame all of black people or black women. I'm guessing that you're going to jump on the internet and cap and say this is about the community. Yeah, right. She's also fell for it. This is not about the community. She's also now saying it's about the community. Both you and her, Eboni, cap.
Stop the cap.
Cap, big time. So that was what started the video. But today she's responded in a few different videos, and I want to play some of them for you. The first response that she sent was this one. Okay. And I'm going to play it.
Today's sidebar starts with a note of gratitude. I want to thank the culture for making my interview with Dr. Iyanla Van Zant one of the most popular and actively engaged content offerings the Griot has produced. So before I tell you my thoughts...
That's a fact. That video went viral. Let me show you. This video has, you could see average on this YouTube channel has about 500, 134, 236. That video now, last 3 days, has 102,000 views. So that's a fact. She went viral. That's why I said maybe she's actually happy that this went viral. I'm happy because we get to react to this. Let's get back to the content.
Let's replay the clip that had some of y'all deep into your feelings. I do want you to speak, Ayanla, to how women need to, position ourselves so that we can be in our divinity, so we can have our crowns right, how we can create and not build, when some of us, quite frankly, feel that the men that are available to us, and I'm talking about across the color spectrum, across the age spectrum, trust me, I've done them all, they are not positioned to protect nor provide because of some of the statistics we just talked about. They're not earning the incomes. They're not having the resources, and some of them are not even showing up in the leadership.
So she's talking at general level, obviously. She's not talking about herself. She's not talking about individuals. She's just talking in general. So there is some level of gross generalization going on there. I don't know what the stats are. Even if the stats says a lot more men are making less, I think if you zone in on that when you're talking about your own opportunities when it comes to life and love, if you zone in on generalized talk, you will shoot yourself on the legs. Okay, because there's only so many people in your circle. All of black people are not in your circle. So why? Because it will cast a filter, prejudgment, prejudice on your ability to assess your dating scene properly, right? You will start seeing people as red if you think that this statistics is a thing. So she is speaking from statistics. I wouldn't doubt that that's probably one of the reasons why she might have struggled with dating too, right? So but that's to go for you. Like, listen, if you look at all of black people in America, I don't know how many we are, right? And you look at the stats and you're using that to prejudge people when you meet them, you will shoot yourself on the legs, essentially. Okay, because all those people, all black people, they're not in your circle, right? But you will start literally seeing every individual as whatever the stat says, right? And it's tricky. I can't ask you to unknow what you already know. Once you know something, you know something, right? But at least if you're aware, you can slow down on generalizations. So she just generalized, right? But she's on a show. That's what they do on a show. They're supposed to, I'm just asking you as an individual, be careful in your personal life when you generalize, because you will start seeing the world as whatever you are saying, right? And effectively, you won't see the need to even put any effort on a personal level, right?
Would you date a bus driver?
All right, so they're going over it again. All right, so let's go back to our comments.
Now, if he owns it, if he owns the bus,
that's a problem. That's a problem.
Now let's address the response to the interview and what some of y'all
I'm listening to this for the first time in detail, so
are calling a backlash. So let me be clear. First, I am a professional disruptor, so backlash is my business.
That's how masculine as hell, but I don't judge her. She's on a job. It's work, right? That's precisely what women would tend to become, because they have to guard the bag, right? This is a job at the end of the day. She's not trying to talk to a romantic partner, okay? But she's a professional disruptor, she said, right? Take it for what it is. There's no need to,
And I will always take it on the chin for the sake of advancing the work, conversation, or movement.
I believe
so
her.
know that I am completely unfazed by the onslaught of nasty comments, wishing me a sad, lonely, bitter existence until my untimely death.
Damn! People are vicious. These are mostly men. Okay? Jesus Christ.
Now, that is some weird energy to be wishing onto a black woman, especially one who has dedicated her life to the liberation of black folk. But, whatever, I guess.
Hey, listen, you're a popular woman. It is what it is. Sad, but that's just the reality. And especially if you're going to go viral for all the wrong reasons.
Go off. See, I wanted to talk about how do we close the gap between black women who do show up in a so-called masculine posture.
Generalization.
Those of us that are providing and...
Oh, she said show up in masculine. See, look at me, Mumbe.
See, I wanted to talk about how do we close the gap between black women who do show up in a so-called masculine posture, those of us that are providing and building and protecting due to circumstances.
I mean, isn't that what they say? See, when you do call women masculine, don't forget that there's good side to it, there's downside to it. The downside is when we're talking about their ability to engage in a romantic relationship within the context of our social construct, right? It's causing trouble because the man just wants you to relax. I got you. And you know what I mean? If you don't trust, you don't trust. Trust is nobody's mate, right? So then, quote unquote, it becomes masculine vibes. It's a vibe. It's not, it become masculine vibes because she's not letting you lead. Well, in my opinion, it means you have to, as a man, you're required a little bit more patience than normal. But if you lived in 1960, I would just tell you to go to the other market. But the truth is that on an average, you're going to encounter this. So the best thing you can do for yourself is build your patience muscles, okay? Because when you see, the grass always seems greener on the other side. When you cross to the other side, you engage another beautiful lady, looks pretty like her, right? Some people are calling her 6 now. That's shaming language. You can't wait to shame her because she doesn't agree with you. That's weird. That's feminine energy. But anyway, a lady like her, you engage her, you see she looks pretty, everything, and then she pushes back a little bit. You're like, oh, that's masculine. I don't want to deal with it. Well, what do you mean by masculine with respect to what? Because you can't really talk about masculine without talking about feminine. There's a lot of people talking about masculine without talking about feminine. It doesn't make sense. It sounds stupid, okay? Masculine with respect to what? Okay? Why is the masculine energy showing up? Right? It doesn't have to be your fault, but I'm telling you there's a dynamics, there's something that's shifting in intersexual dynamics. And to not acknowledge that and just be talking masculine all day is just stupid. Okay? And I mean stupid in the sense of you're not going to get any good results out of it. The best you can do is shame this young lady. That's the best you're going to do. Right? But when you run across the street to another young lady, she's going to show you the same thing. And what are you going to do? You're going to generalize and say modern women are masculine. Okay, and yes, because that's not a crime to be masculine. That means they're showing up to protect themselves, to provide for themselves, to, all these different things that sounds good until you put in the word masculine. And there's no woman that you'd call her masculine that doesn't sound like a compliment either. Even though it's not a crime, it doesn't sound like a compliment. So she's not going to respond with feminine energy. She might pretend and cap like she's responding with feminine energy, but the moment she has to overthink the idea of being feminine, that's precisely what masculine energy does. You see, shooting yourself on the legs. You want women to think like men. So it's a vicious cycle. It's a vicious cycle. Yeah, it just doesn't work, People are really vicious. Yeah. It's getting nasty out there. People can't wait to engage, shame, insult because they're struggling. They don't have the patience. They're not built. Now you have to build that level of patience, right? To be able to see something that triggers you and be like, let me try to understand where they're coming from. Okay? That's what's going on. But let's continue the video.
That we might make us feel that if we don't do it for ourselves, we will have to go without the resources and protections we need to feel safe in this world.
She just used a buzzword, feel safe, feel secure. I say that here all the time. If she doesn't feel safe and secure, she's going to attempt to protect herself. Okay? In a lot of ways, I'm talking about at emotional levels, okay? So it's not a crime, it's something that naturally happens when you don't trust, feel safe and secure. It doesn't mean it's your fault, gentlemen. It's just something you should pay attention to. That's all. Okay, you can't wait to take it as, does that mean it's my fault? No, nobody is saying anything is your fault. The only reason why you're saying that is because you already feel like something is your fault, and that's part of the problems. None of this is anybody's fault. When you start to blame other people, you want to shame other people, you're literally, there's no better way to say that I feel like it's my fault, right? You're overreacting, you're triggered, you can't wait to just tell everybody that it's not your fault. So, is it my fault? No, I never said that, right? What you're a human being. You live in an ecosystem. There's some dynamics that basically shift in the direction of what needs to happen to create equilibrium. Right? Part of it is, yes, women will become masculine if they feel the need to protect themselves. Right? But it can't, because of our social construct, it really can't last that long if you don't lose your masculine frame in the process. If you lose your masculine frame in the process, she continues to feel, it's a vicious cycle. She continues to feel unsafe. Right? The more you, let me hold her accountable because she's just wrong for being masculine. Masculine is not wrong. That's where you're wrong automatically, right? And it shows up in your energy and how you respond to things. And then before you know it, you're creating the results that you've always created, even at a larger scale.
But Dr. Ayanla went in a different direction. She asked me a personal question. And y'all know I have been extremely
hit the like button, I beg,
transparent about the fact that my life choices and my chosen lifestyle are far outside about the fact that my life choices. And y'all know I have been extremely transparent about the fact that my life choices and my chosen lifestyle are far outside of the norm. So when I said that I would date the bus owner,
I don't know what life choices she's talking about. I'm going to guess up front, I could be wrong, that they're not choices. It's just what it is. Not necessarily choices. Okay? If she's talking about being 39 and single, those are not choices. Usually not choices. Okay? I'm going to guess. It's just a guess. Okay? Wild guess. That's not choices. Okay? Now, a lot of people are finding them, including men, in that space where they're out of their choices, being single at 39, 40. I'm not talking about divorcees. I'm talking about single, never be married. But I expect them to tell me it's a choice. Some of them, yes, very, very, very much could be a choice. Most of them, yeah, I need to call it what it is this one time so we can address
Stop the cap.
All right. Let's keep going. Hey, D. Good to see you, D. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Ping everybody else into the room. Share with the people you know. Ping them into the room. You guys need to get used to me popping up. Get used to it, okay? But it's probably partly my fault because I haven't shown up in the afternoon for a while too. So let's keep going.
Owner, a lot of y'all heard something different. Some of you heard the following: bus drivers are whack. Bus drivers are broke.
That's a fact. That's what people heard, even though she never said that. She didn't even do most of the talking. Miss Ayala Van Zandt did most of the talking. These are the issues that I've been talking about for 19 months. Right? Listen a little bit closer. Listen a little bit longer before you have extremely strong opinions. And even if you have opinions, leave some room just in case you're wrong. Right? She never said anything about bus drivers being whack. In fact, the only thing that she said about bus drivers is preferences. And like I said on the first commentary I made about this, women have always fantasized about. That's where movies came from. Hollywood, Nollywood, right? Love stories. Shout out to the person that left a comment for me and said that's why women love reading those romantic novels. There's nothing new about that. That's not a modern woman thing. Right? Now, should we have a conversation if people are turning fantasies into a situation where they're not able to hook up with people? I guess we can have the conversation, but we can't have the conversation when the men of our society are overreacting every chance they get to drag, especially black, African black men. Every opportunity you get to drag a woman, you couldn't wait. You need to push hard against yourself to slow down and listen much longer. Maybe it's just natural that you do that. But you need to push harder, like, hey, let me listen a little bit longer. Maybe that's not what she's saying. Let me listen to the video again. She never said bus drivers are whack, but that's what people were hearing. But let's keep going.
I'm too good for a bus driver. The only thing is, y'all made that part up. See, I said...
That's basically listening with emotions. You're very quick to accuse people of being emotional, but that's precisely what you've been doing for the past 3 days that video went live. Listening with emotions. I don't have a problem with listening with emotions, by the way, but I want you to acknowledge that that's what you did. You were listening with emotions. Because if somebody did not say something, there's no need to make it up. Well, in reality, you will make it up when you're caught up in your emotions. You will make shit up, basically.
Said what I said. But then some of y'all started talking about salaries and hourly wages, pensions and benefits. And that's wild because I was never talking about money at all. I was talking about black ownership, but some of y'all made it about money. I'm talking about ownership, black enterprise, and...
Yeah, I think that's cap.
Stop the cap.
Yeah, I don't think she was talking about black ownership. I think it's easy to just slide that right in there. Like, yeah, she owns the bus. Like, no. Owning the bus, yeah, nah. Okay, no. Right? First of all, bus owners generally don't drive their own buses. Okay, I think some private companies own a lot of those buses. Like the public transportation, I think it's private companies that own them, at least here in the United States, right? But that's not the owner that's driving the buses. She knows that this is now cap, right? But again, I'm okay with that, okay? Because the conversation has gone to another level entirely, right? And there's nothing wrong with having preferences, right? Oh, Chiye, you caught that too, right? Voila, that's cap. Yeah, that's cap, big time.
Entrepreneurship, because really I am talking about black liberation. And if you read my...
Yeah, right.
Stop the cap.
Now, I'm all for entrepreneurship. I've been preaching entrepreneurship since... I've always been an entrepreneur. I've never really worked a day 9-to-5 job ever. I graduated back in 2005. I was making the noise about entrepreneurship in 2005. And then years later, a few years later, I got hit with the crisis, 2008 recession. Everything got wiped out. About less than 2 years later, I was back in entrepreneurship. And, and I've always preached. And then about 7 years into it, I was like, you know what? Somebody has to push him up. Right? It is what it is, I stopped making so much noise about it because in reality, the majority of people are just not entrepreneurs, right? But today I am starting to, because there's a massive recession, there's a slowdown in the economy that's coming. You need to brace yourself. So as a matter of fact, what I was doing all day today is trying to create opportunities for people that may want to take advantage of some of my creations in the last 18 years. So I am all for entrepreneurship. But there's another level of cap going on.
Stop
here.
the cap.
Most people are not interested. They want their paycheck on Friday. Especially black people. Okay. Now, she is right. There's a lot of women are gravitating towards the direction of entrepreneurship, but a lot of them are also getting finessed by people that just want to steal from them. Be careful out there. I'm going to be talking a lot more about that as well. Yeah. See, liberation called liberation.
book, you'll understand why. So I'm standing 10 toes down on that position.
She's doubling
I don't really
down.
care if you're hurt or offended by it. And since some of y'all are already big mad, let me go ahead and make you
Big
incensed.
mad.
So out of the 50,000 plus comments posted on social, I only saw a handful that even considered the possibility of a bus owner being a more aspirational position and recognizing that I am actually speaking and pouring into the ascension of black men when I said what I said.
Cap! You said what you said because you couldn't see yourself.
Stop the cap.
You said what you said because you couldn't see yourself, like an average woman dating down. Okay? This is not a crime. It's the reality. Okay? It's not a crime. It's a reality. Women are hypergamous. That is a reality. That is not an intentional thing in general. Okay? That's what the conversation was about. That's what Miss Nyala was responding to. Okay. Yeah. Let's keep going. Liberation, community. She's just like the rest of them in the manosphere, in the feministic. They always turn it to some community talk instead of them to say, hey, listen, I'm struggling, which she did gracefully when she was talking to Auntie Nyala, right? They're like, hey, I'm struggling with this dating thing. How can you help me? They were like, this community is modern women's problem. It's modern men too. Black babies need to be deleted. All this stupid stuff that everybody is talking about because they don't want to engage their problems square in the face. They are capping every single one of them. Not every single one, majority of them, right? And she's basically jumped on that bandwagon as a defense. Instead of her to stay in that zone, like I asked the question, you want me to be feminine? You don't want me to be masculine, right? Stay in that conversation. That was the conversation. The divinity, it was not about community or liberation or black people. In fact, precisely you said man across because you've dated every single type of man out there. But she fell for it. And that's what happens when you get caught up in your emotions, right? That's what happens. That's what happens when you try to shame people and blame them. They get caught up in their emotions. They double down. Right? On the BS. Or whatever BS. You basically attract what you fear the most too, right? Your fear is that this woman is masculine. Welcome to the real world. She told you she's a professional disruptor. Right? How much masculine do you need from a woman? Right?
But see, no, some of y'all were too busy naming and shaming me personally and black women in general as undesirable.
That's a fact.
Gold diggers.
She's right. That's what they were doing.
Now, I suspect that some of y'all are the same men that were bringing home C's and D's on your report cards, only to then be coddled by parents that said, well, that's okay, as long as you're doing your best.
False. False. A lot of these black men that are in these conversations are men that are making good money. There are men that are doing very well, men that have never had babies, even at the age of 35, 40, 45, never been married. A lot of them are. Yeah, a sector of them are divorced people too, but I'm talking about the single ones right now. There are men that on paper, if you separate the lame behavior, right? On paper, you like, until they say two sentences and then you're like, Jesus Christ, where's the man? Okay, these are men that had A's, not D's, C's and D's when it comes to paper stuff, right? But these are men that have D's and E's when it comes to the stuff that Miss Nyala was talking about. The emotional aspect of things, right? The divine aspect of what makes us human beings and why we want to entangle with each other. The emotional connection that we all crave so much. What creates the attraction, right? What creates the sexual polarity? Yeah, that part they have D's and E's on it. But in majority of the stuff that you guys are reading, the books that you've written, quite a few of them, I guess at least one. I know she was promoting a book, right? They read all the books. You can't beat this man at some of the stuff. Like, they know their stuff when it comes to paper knowledge. The issue is application and wisdom. That's majority of people engage in this conversation. The Pookies and the Riri's, the Femis and the Tundes, they're not engaged in this conversation like that. I don't know. I just throw Femi and Tunde on that bus. I should more so say Lanre and Dayo. Right? But you get the gist, right? The ones with the highest level of social skills are not, they're not necessarily making money, but they are good at making people feel safe and secure. And some of you ladies that are making good money are ending up in the bed with some of these guys. That's the reality of what's going on, because emotions is nobody's mate. If you feel safe and secure, they can penetrate everything. That's the bottom line. See, this is my observation. These are the confusions going on everywhere, right? So she's assuming these are people that had these and no, that's not the issues. Because she's still actively trying to go in the direction of it's a community issue. I guess it can become a community issue at a macro level, but you need to fix it at the micro level. individuals.
Listen, I love and believe in the excellence of black men. So no, my dear, C's and D's or any other
That's
form
cap.
of mediocrity is not okay. No, I will not create a soft place for you or anybody that I love to fall comfortably into the bigotry of low expectations. So I'm gonna say
Those are big words. I wouldn't say those words because, again, they are gross generalizations at best. But that's what happens when you overreact to, I mean, naturally so, rightfully so, because obviously she got attacked heavily over the past 3 days, right? No one should expect anything less from her in terms of fighting or firing back. And she gave even more.
say one more time. There's absolutely nothing wrong with driving a bus. My mother Gloria drove one for years. But could it be that Black America has been sold a narrative of average, regular, and typical being good enough for us? Well, see, that's called white supremacy. And in this case, it takes the form of conditioning Black Americans to happily accept being a permanent American underclass. But see, because I know the truth about Black folk in America, no, average is not and will never be good enough for me. And the gag is, I don't think it's good enough for you either.
Okay. All right. If you say so, Auntie.
Stop the cap.
If you say so. But no, I disagree. I agree, but that's not what she was saying. She was talking about she couldn't date down, and that's perfectly the reality and our social construct. There's nothing wrong with that. It's literally, my first commentary was that anybody asking her to do that is lame. Okay. Of course, she's reading from a script. These are professionals. Of course, she's reading from a script. That was a well-written brouhaha. But let me see. Let's go to here. Let's go to the third video that made me say, you know what? We need to talk about this video right here.
Episode off of gratitude, because I think what we know, the fact that this conversation with myself and Dr. Ayanla, shout out to Masor, it aired last week. And let's talk about what's happened since then. We've had a whole White House Correspondents' Dinner, which Roy Wood Jr. killed. Shout out to Roy. We've had the Met Gala. We've got a war in Ukraine and still a war in Sudan, and yet folks is still talking about this shit more than anything else. And I think that speaks to something, right?
Hit the like
I think
button.
It speaks
Thank
to
you.
the insatiable nature of the fact that we've got to have this conversation.
All right, so I'm looking at the likes. It's about 13 people watching. If you can please collapse the chat for a second and hit the like button. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's the least. Well, that's the most I'm going to ask you, I should say. Thank you so much for hitting the like button. I see one more just came in. If you can get that up to 10, that would be nice so we can continue the stream. Thank you. I'm waiting. Thank you. I appreciate you. Hit the like button. Thank you. We got 6 now. If you can get 4 more into the like. I'm watching it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Help me ping more people into the room. I appreciate you. I'm waiting. Yeah. Let's see here. All right, we got 7. Can we get that up to 3 more? 3 more likes. Thank you. So I can continue the reaction. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right, we need 2 more. I got the 8. Thank you. I appreciate you. 2 more. Thank you so much for answering to the call. Oh, you got 9? We need 1 more. I'm only seeing 8. Let's see here. Anyway, you guys are being generous enough. Let me just continue.
As Black men and women, and we talking about the Black family structure and Black wealth building, and all of those are tenets that are tethered to why this has hit such a nerve and why it's reverberating, in a way. Tyrese posting about it, Jason Lee posting about it, the Shade Room posting about it, Spiritual World posting about it, Ava DuVernay in the comments, Viola Davis in the comments.
What was Viola saying?
We get to it. So that's a good thing. I want to start by that framework. Nothing about this is negative. People are disagreeing. People are feeling away. We're going to talk about it. But I want to start by the framing that we cannot have rupture in the culture and not do the work of repair.
I agree with the fact that none of this is negative. The conversation is good. Okay, the conversation is good. In fact, quote unquote, the gender war type conversation is good because it doesn't just fall out of the skies. This is heating stuff that people were kind of already feeling maybe before the pandemic, and then it's now, it went viral in 2020, and we needed to talk about this kind of stuff. So it's good, as opposed to everybody just wondering what happened. Well, what happened. At one point it was just women that were single at 37, 38, 39, 45. People were wondering. Now men are being single at those ages, but men are capping, and they're saying, yeah, it's just a choice. Men should wait till 45. Stop the cap. That's not what you wanted.
Stop the cap.
Stop the cap. Okay? That's not what majority of you wanted. So it's now obvious that something is going on, right? And clearly it's not, it doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel like, and a lot of people got hit badly during the COVID. A lot of people had depression and all kind of stuff going on when they couldn't get out, because it was easy to brush these issues under the rug before that, right? But now everybody had to stay at home, right? So it was tough on a lot of people, But I'm glad the conversation is happening, because at the end of the day, I think mental health is key. It's not that the truth is that not everybody is going to get married. That's the fact. Okay, but at least from a mental health standpoint, people can talk, say what they're feeling. So the conversation is a good thing.
So to me, this is a conversation about repairing and restoring what has historically been a productive, valuable conversation and relationship between black men and women that somehow, some way has gotten away from us.
Well, yeah, I think it's two different conversations. Like, I watched the full, I don't care who
there's a lot of people that don't know what you're talking about that might have just tuned in and have no idea.
So, Frank, go ahead, Frank.
Do they live under a rock?
Some people, because you have to tell people what you're talking about.
Okay. What are we talking about?
So it's some from comments that, because I don't want to misconstrue, because we only had a small piece of your conversation with Ayanla.
Sure.
So during your Ayanla conversation, she asked you if you would date a bus driver.
So let me back up for 1 second.
For those of you that may not know, this is the Breakfast Club, a radio show in New York City area. Everybody wants to be on the Breakfast Club, so it's a big platform. Okay, so the conversation is bigger. It's bigger than any one of these individuals, But I want you to pay attention to DJ Envy, who is a married man. He's been married for like almost 20 years, or if not 20 years. And listen to, I want you to pay attention to the emotions of the conversation, okay? Try to see if you can pick up some things there,
Be correct. I invited Ayanla on my Griot show. That Griot show airs on Byron Allen's network. The Griot airs every night at 6. Let's first of all start with this. Whole shit is y'all's fault.
It always is. It always
This
is.
whole shit is y'all's fault here at the Breakfast Club. No, love y'all. Y'all had Ayanla on. And Ayanla made a statement on the Breakfast Club morning show, and she said that a lot of young black ladies out here are men in skirts.
Which you agreed with.
Which I found very provocative. Did I not call you that day? And I said, oh, this is spicy. I would love to participate in this conversation. And then you do what you always do, and you went radio silent. That's cool. So then I invited her. And everybody that knows Charlamagne and is a loving relationship with Charlamagne, no, that's the shit he pulled. It's cool. I never take it personal. So it's cool. It's always love for 7 years. So then I said to my team, I said, reach out to Ayanla. Let's book her. Let's bring her on the grill, because I want to have the conversation.
So when she said provocative, I'm sure somebody was like, provocative? She was right. Provocative is neither right nor wrong. It just means something triggered you and you wanted to be a part of the conversation. Try your best, as we'll continue to have this conversation, to disengage from, I know it's hard because, try your best, just practice it here, to disengage from the rights and the wrongs of the conversation. Those things are obvious, okay? If they are actually right and wrong. You can't help the truth if it's actually truth. You don't have to help it, because truth is the only thing that lasts forever, okay? You don't have to struggle so hard. That's the truth. No, it's not the truth. If you're choking to say that, okay? The truth is undefeated. You will do nothing against the truth, but for the truth, okay? I want to hear your emotions. I want to hear your feelings without the cap, okay? Oh no, but I don't feel. I'm a man. Yeah, right.
Stop the cap.
Yeah, you don't feel. That's why you drag this woman under the bus pun intended, for the last 72 hours. You don't feel. You only think. Yeah, right. Yeah. I beg. Anyway.
And probably more productively, right, y'all? Black woman to black woman.
Yep.
Let's talk to each other. And also
Yeah, right.
generation to generation.
That one is almost impossible too. Can I say the truth? But you're trying. We're having the conversation now. But just like having a conversation between men will rather be in an echo chamber and be repeating each other's talking points and then to go viral, right? And then when you push against it, wait, it's a problem. It's the same thing on the woman's side. When a woman pushes against women, they tend to butt heads too, right? So it's a little tricky. So, for example, a lot of the women that were advocating for men, like I always say, I appreciate that, but I need you to speak like a woman, okay? Not like tell me how you feel as a woman. Now, that's a little confusing too, because you might just be confused. Maybe that's just where you are, that you feel like everything you've done hasn't worked because women are just at fault all the time. That's not true either, okay? That's not true at all. It's never anywhere close to truth. It comes down to individual by individual. Yeah, there are some things, some patterns you will see with the different genders, right? That okay, women. But in general, people kind of naturally want to gravitate towards more like an echo chamber because it validates the talking point, And yeah, but she's saying woman to woman. Let's see how that works.
Let's talk to
Yeah,
each
because
other.
she old.
But they always say the sisterhood is strong, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Jesus
Sorry.
Christ,
I was gonna say
you should hope
seasons,
to.
generation.
She just called her hold.
Let's talk to
Yeah,
each
because
other.
she old.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Jesus
Sorry.
Christ.
She just called me Sayala hold. Well,
I was gonna say
You
season.
should hope to get to that age.
That's it.
Yeah, no, of course.
We know what the alternative
I
is.
want to
That's
age.
right.
I want to age.
That's right.
Amen. Gracefully, beautifully. Okay, so Yana comes on, and I say, this is the framing I say to Dr. Van Zanta Yana. I say, sis, doctor, soror, talk to me about what you would recommend black women do in terms of our posture and positioning.
it's a good question. It was a
When
good
you're right,
question.
I am showing up in a posture of building, providing, and protecting my own self. I'm showing up in masculine energy, as you would call it.
Yep.
I'm conceding your point. But tell me how you would guide me to not do so when, I'll be honest, I don't really feel like I can trust that if I don't do it, that there's going to be adequate, keyword there, adequate provision and protection if I don't do it. And
Which is how you said it.
That's exactly how I said it, right? And she said, beloved, would you date a bus driver? And then the clip goes. And then I did stare into the abyss because I wasn't really sure where we were going. But
Thank you. That's honest, right?
okay, because she is an elder and she's also my soror in the deference, if you know, you know, I'm going to go with you. So I honestly answered y'all in that moment.
No. Cap.
If he owned the bus. And that's what I said, Envy. But what people heard based on the comments, that I said bus drivers wasn't shit.
That's
People
what they heard.
that I
Broke.
said that bus drivers broke, don't make
That's
no
what people
money,
heard.
ain't got no benefits.
That's what they're
and
still
that
responding
they
to
were
online
beneath
right
me.
now.
That somehow was the interpretation of me saying that I will date a bus owner. Now let me tell you what I actually said, and this is what the whole Holding Court shit was
Stop
about.
the
Go
cap.
check that out right now where you get your podcast, Holding Court with Ebony K. Williams featuring Dustin Ross. I said on Holding Court, y'all, let me tell you why ownership is it for me.
Stop the
It's
cap.
not about salary. Y'all made it about salary.
Stop
Y'all
the
started
cap.
debating 125 a year versus 160 a year versus 200 a year.
Well, you did quote stats before you went into the thing with Ayala.
Thank you.
Women earn more money.
Income.
And I talked about black women buying more homes. We buy homes at single black women are buying 20.
She was talking about income before they got to that point. Stop the
Stop the
cap.
cap.
Christ. Jesus Christ. Iyanla did not answer her question. I think she tried. I'm not sure what you mean by that. What was the question that you think she didn't answer? The fact that yeah, I think she answered the question. Hey, good to see you, Just Jay. I see you. Let's continue though. Let's continue. I think she did answer the question. It might not be the answer that's scientific enough, but if she asks question about we're showing up masculine, I don't feel safe and all this kind of stuff. Okay, I think I see where you're going at. Yeah, I wouldn't answer that question that way too. I wouldn't just put the onus on the women. I just wouldn't. And I think most people know me for that here. I wouldn't do that. I I will always put the responsibility of the dynamics on the leader, whoever that is. If it's a woman that wants to claim to be the leader, sure, then there's nothing wrong as long as you're able to attract a person that you can create sexual polarity with. To me, that's not necessarily masculine or feminine dynamics, but I get, we have to adjust the definitions. It's weird, but everybody's just throwing the words around. They're just throwing the words around. Masculine is feminine. If somebody's not talking about romantic relationships, there's no need to bring in masculine, feminine energy at all. There's no need for that. If they're talking about it, right? Like she asked question around women showing up masculine, right? Then my next question would have been like, what happened? Tell me a little bit more about your experience. I wouldn't just give a blanket answer, I wouldn't give a blanket answer, because I think that's one of the problems with these conversations. A lot of blanket answers and blanket opinions,
20% of the market share of new real estate on the market. I know because I just closed last summer and it was a shit show in underwriting. That's another
They're
conversation.
graduating more. They're in college. Yeah.
I think I sent it to you,
entrepreneurship.
Charlamagne, because Charlamagne, even you guys do so much work on the Breakfast Club about what? HBCUs.
Yep.
And I was devastated when my good friend Eugene Scott sent me a post, Washington Post article that said black men are going to HBCUs 1 to 2. It's 2 to 1 for black women graduating. So these are things we got to look at. Because you have daughters, and you have daughters, and some of y'all in here got daughters. And if they're gonna want to partner and marry men, and black men at that, and they're gonna want to build together, as you two cite your marriages as examples of, we gotta talk about how people can be equally yoked. So back to ownership, Sean.
I do think it's an equally yoked conversation. Okay, we did that here before. I will find that video again. We did talk about equally yoked. Let me see. She asked Inyala a question and she answered her with a question. Oh, that's why she's Inyala. She's a Nigerian at heart. We answer questions with questions now. Then Inyala stated how she would date a bus driver, but put her prenup together if it has to go into marriage. I know. Okay, you're right. But I think she went on to elaborate more about the masculine dynamics and all that kind of stuff. She even gave herself as an example, calling herself an alpha female, right? But I see what you mean now. Then at a point, she did speak about seduction and feminine energy, etc. Yes, she did. Yeah.
I said ownership is key for me. Why? Not because I'm a bougie bitch. This is not about everybody being a Harvard surgeon. This is about...
Yeah, stop the cap already.
Stop the cap.
Do you notice that she's selling her book? She has a book called Bet on Black. Help her promote it, right? She has a book called what's that called? Man of Prestige, Yoked. Let me see if that comes out. I forgot what the title of that video was. Unequally Yoked. This video that's coming up is Megan Good and Estranged Husband. Let me put dimensions. I doubt if I can find it because yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, let's continue this one. I'll find it at some point. There's like 700 videos on the platform now, so it's hard to find anything that's not recent.
This book right here, Bet on Black, you read it, Charlamagne. Y'all were at the party. Y'all know what time it is. It's hard to be free in America as a black person when you don't own anything. And I mean that with my fiber in my being, and I'm gonna prove it to you. My grandfather, Kerry James Williams, had a 4th grade education in Montpelier, Louisiana. He then provided for my family with everything they needed by doing 5 things at one time. That man cut hair. He made and sold moonshine. He cut graveyards on the weekend. He also worked a salary job at a feed mill. If you know about that feed mill life, then you know. My point in this is saying this, and then he raised my mother, Gloria, who also did not complete college. She took 2 years at Texas Southern. She said, how much? 50,000. It ain't gonna be that for me. And she pieced out. And she started her own business. She drove the bus. So for all of y'all in the comments, well, my daddy drove a bus. Well, my mama drove a bus. My mother drove a bus as well, y'all. She drove a bus until she acquired.
Have you noticed that the conversation is completely derailed from from why from the whole romantic relationship thing. Have you noticed that? Right? Have you noticed that? Yeah. We're now talking about community. We're now talking about liberation. We're now talking about, it's completely derailed. And this happens all the time. Every time the conversation gets to a place where people start to have some nuances and particularly talk about black men and black women coming together to create family structure, it becomes something else. And then people engage that, and then nothing comes out of it. They will just drag themselves, right? They drag themselves, and then it'll be over sooner or later. Another news will come up. But let's see if she will try again. Let's see.
A skill set. In her case, it was cosmetology. She drove the bus in the morning, the school bus. She would get off the bus. She would go to Universal Beauty School off of Beatties Ford Road in Charlotte, North Carolina. She would then get back on the bus, drive the afternoon shift. Then she would come check on me, make sure that I was doing what I needed to do. And then she would go drive for UPS. So for those of y'all talking to me like I don't know what a CDL license can do, I helped my mom study for a CDL when I was 9 years old. I promise you I know about that life.
Yeah, they were responding that way because they were all ignorant too. But just Jolasun, you said your grandfather was breaking the law. What do you mean by that? Can you enlighten me on that? What do you mean? Because I might have missed something there. Thank you. Oh Lord. Let's see. Now she's talking about what happened in 60 years ago, just like the people that were dragging her. Who cares what happened in 1970? You clearly don't care. Modern people, modern women, modern men. You don't care. Because if you did, you'd be getting together. You don't care. Okay? That's the truth. Okay?
My point is this. It's about skills. It is nothing wrong with driving a bus if that is your maximum skill set. I simply want to call Black America up to the excellence that I know we can occupy. I've seen it before. Entrepreneurship is the key to me. That's not just me talking. That's Earl Graves Sr., the founder and visionary of Black Enterprise. I'm talking about Black Enterprise, Black ownership, and Black liberation. And it is important to me.
All right. I used to read Black Enterprise a lot. I loved it for obvious reasons because I'm an entrepreneur, right? So it was one of the magazines that inspired me a lot in my younger years. And yeah, that wasn't the conversation. Why are we bringing Earl Grave into this? Jesus Christ. that wasn't the conversation. How did we lose it? Jesus Christ.
It's in my DNA. It's my personal legacy. Because my mama told me, y'all, nobody will pay you what you will pay you. And this is not about shaming bus drivers, but I want to be clear.
So the truth is that this is causing a lot of problem for a lot of men. That's the truth. I have to be honest with you. Okay, this is causing a lot of trouble. In fact, I've had to step in quite a few times to help couples that the woman is complaining that the husband is not ambitious enough. It's problematic. Okay, it's problematic. Okay, ambition. Number one, ambition is a moving target. Okay, a person that's driving a bus, that could easily be that's them pushing themselves beyond what they would typically do if they were settling, right? They could have been in jail, but they did something for themselves and they were driving a bus now, right? So when you say ambition and you use the word aspiration, that's subjective at best, right? It's subjective. It just depends on where you're coming from. So again, when you're talking, and if you're going to cap and talk about community, you really can't afford to bring in entrepreneurship into that, because majority of human beings are not entrepreneurs. Okay, they're not. But I hear you. You don't want to talk about that. You want to completely remove the conversation from why am I single, never been married at 39. You want to remove. I don't blame you. I don't blame you, because I understand, especially if you're being dragged by millions of people, but it's not working. The pushback is not working. She should have just come in and say, listen, I take in everything. Yeah, I am policing how she talked. I take in everything. But another good part of the conversation is that I think we should be betting on black. I think it was a good thing that I had a brain fart and said if you own the boss. But yeah, it's hard for me to just go ahead and date somebody under my economy class, right? And I would take that in completely because that's the reality for most women. But now the rest of it now that she's saying is just cap, you know. She had to bring him because of all the dragation they did to her on the internet. Yeah, it's just waffle. Yeah. They will still drag her. Yeah, because again, that wasn't the conversation. The conversation was about divinity, femininity, masculine, black women having a hard time settling with men that are making less than them. That was the conversation, auntie. Right? That was the conversation, right? This is Shalaye. Shalaye doesn't help. Okay, Shalaye only makes it worse. Okay, Alaye, Mama Shalaye. I keep telling you.
If you are driving a bus today, and that is the maximum of your skill set, I love and appreciate it for you. I have to because it's an honest day's living. But I want to tell you the truth.
Another thing is that if you're a person like her, as popular as her, obviously it's irresponsible. It's considered irresponsible by a lot of people to sound like you're throwing bus drivers under the bus. You don't have to mean it. All you have to do is sound like it. Okay? And then, of course, then you will receive some dragging naturally and rightfully so. Okay? So I get it. Let's keep going.
Truth. And this is not about hurting feelings or talking down or being an elitist. I need you to know that in 10 years, you may or may not have a job.
That's true. That's true, but that's not what we're talking about. Because of what? AI?
AI.
Oh, okay.
Artificial intelligence. See, this is the part nobody wants to talk about.
The lawyers
y'all.
might not have a job in 10 years.
They might not. And that's why
anyone might not have a job in 10 years. What are we talking about? Can we get back to the conversation about why black women cannot settle for less? Because ultimately the answer may still be black men need to step their game up. And we need to stay focused on that conversation. Why are we talking about AI again? Economy, bus driver. We're gonna need bus drivers, I think. At least people that work at the hospitals are gonna need to ride the bus. People that don't have a car in the city will need to ride the bus. We're still gonna have bus drivers, right? Maybe not so much, right? Maybe there will be self-driving buses. Again, I'm struggling to see the relevance to divinity, masculinity. Shout out to the black men that have helped this woman completely derail from the conversation. Shout out to you for helping a person who was already masculine become more masculine. That's when you shame and you blame people, that's precisely what they become because they need to protect themselves from you. This is how it works in real life. That's the conversation we should be having.
So I'm glad you're going there, Charlemagne, because this is the part of the conversation that people really are feeling triggered by. We all have to reassess constantly our skill set and how it's applicable today, how it might or might not be applicable tomorrow.
Auntie, they were talking about you at 39, not we all. They weren't talking about all of us. They were talking about you because Miss Yala asked you a simple question. Would you date a bus driver? Your answer was perfectly fine for me. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't good enough for the lame modern man that we have today. It is what it is, okay? But now, you're biting into it and it's not working. It's not working, you know. We all have to reassess. No. Let's talk about you. Right? But I'm guessing we're never going to talk about you. I doubt it. I doubt if we're going to talk about you. I'm saying that what you're suggesting as a better answer wouldn't have worked either. No, that's true. I don't know what I suggested. But yeah, I don't remember what I suggested. But you're right. If you're popular like this, it's probably not going to be good enough. You're right about that. This is why Shalaye doesn't work, because the people you're trying to explain yourself to, they already made up their mind that you're no good. Okay? the people, not everyone, because there's someone out there, if you calm down and listen to what Miss Yala was trying to say, if you can actually implement it. But I'm guessing that was just a show, right? Yeah, that's true. I wonder if she brought that conversation back. I doubt it. But I'm watching it with you together, actually. I'm seeing it together for the first time too. But I knew it would be interesting. She was trying to make things right and better, but it has gone completely left. It's not working. It's not working. The Shalaye is not adding up.
So this goes back to everybody in the comments. Well, my daddy drove a bus and he did this and
I
this.
can guarantee you that this Shalaye is not good enough for the men that have made up their mind about 39-year-old single women. Okay? It doesn't. Don't explain yourself to these people. If there's something that you think you need to learn to adjust, you need to talk to professionals. Okay? You need to talk to wise counsel. Okay? Somebody that doesn't have, somebody that's not going to take generalized existing bias and not listen to your story, because everyone's story is different, right? Unless, of course, you're selling a book. Shout out to her. She's selling a book.
He was respectful. He was a good black man. He was a great black man, I'm sure. I'm sure all the bus drivers are saints, and none of them cheat, and none of them beat women, and they all are just God-fearing men that show up and how they're supposed to in this world. I believe
Well,
that.
not all. But
Sarcasm.
No, but that's the narrative. It's sarcasm. That's the narrative.
She's being sarcastic now. That's what happens when you do Shalaye too much. You start to become sarcastic. I do it too. Okay, you start throwing condescending language all over the place without necessarily knowing it. That's what happens.
And all people that dare to own, that dare to advance a skill set in a different kind of way, not a better way or a worse way, a different kind of way, they all have full-blown AIDS, beat their wives, and will die alone. That's the narrative.
What Tyler Perry movie is this?
That's what I'm saying.
It's Temptation.
It's very Tyler Perry.
That was a lot. That was a lot. She came ready, right? This is defense, okay? If more people take an offense to everything she's saying right now, more men, I wouldn't be surprised. Precisely, that's what probably was going to happen, because she's being sarcastic, right? They're going to call it the need to be right, right?
It is.
But Ebony, what about the bus drivers that their goal was to own a home, and what if they came from something that necessarily wasn't the best education, and driving the bus is?
I think we got to broaden the conversation. I think we keep using words like
that's
bus
a good
drivers.
question.
This is what bothers me, to make it seem like bus drivers only drive buses.
Why do we keep
right?
talking about bus drivers?
Because y'all let generalize
that's what she
drivers.
said.
Let's generalize.
We can talk bus drivers,
not-
we could talk police officers, we could talk MTA workers, we could talk all these different people that work at these quote-unquote average jobs. is what people
Everyday
were saying.
working class people.
Now, this is my problem, right?
Yes.
Now, you know I do real estate, and I do these seminars all across the country, right? We get thousands of people. The majority of people that own homes and investment homes are your quote-unquote average workers.
Yep,
all your
right.
bus drivers, all your MTA workers. So they
Facts.
just don't drive buses. They have properties, they have... I know a police officer that drives Ferraris because it's not from...
So the point that she wasn't going to bring the conversation back to the idea that a woman of her caliber, that, you know, the modern men are fantasizing about the woman of her caliber dating down a bus driver. She wasn't going to bring it back to that, but I think they're trying to put, like, Auntie, come back here. Let's talk about this spot right here, right? Leave the liberation and all that stuff alone, and betting on black, black society legacy. Leave that alone. We can't do that if we don't know how to contain ourselves within family structure. Let's come back to here, right?
His police job is from the houses that he owns, that he made off to the police
You
job.
sure it's not from the cocaine
I'm
he's stealing
1,000%.
in the...
No, he's like, Jesus Christ. I'm 1,000%.
I'm playing. That's a
He has
joke.
more properties than you, me, and Charlamagne.
That's a joke. Okay, that's a joke. All right. You sure it's not from the cocaine?
Yeah, but that's who he is.
That's
but,
a joke,
But they take
yeah.
it serious.
I think it's a joke, but she's giving admonitions. They will drag her. These men are going to drag the shit out of her. I can't wait to see some of those commentaries.
But I know these people that do it, and they put in hard work. So when you said I wouldn't date a bus driver unless he owned his own bus, a lot of people felt it like, yo, that's disrespectful, because just because I took a job, and a lot of people take those jobs for A couple of different reasons. One, the benefits, right? They know they can work for 20 years. After 20 years, they can retire and they still get their retirement and they still get their benefits. So after 20 years, they can. Most police officers, the same thing. They get their retirement, they can still carry their firearm, and they can still get their benefits. So I look at it as that's a great hustle. They work for 20 years. At the end of 20 years, let's say they start at 21. At 41, they done working the bus company, done being a police officer.
But what does this have to do with that now?
Just making money on top of money. So it's value over values, right?
Envy, let me stop you right there.
It's not.
Do you think for 1 second?
Does anybody see any relevance to can you date a bus driver and what Brother just said? Anybody see any relevance in here?
And I know you don't know me that well, but
Correct.
we've had enough conversation. I had you on Revolt Black News. You talked to me about your father, who was a leader in law enforcement. Do you think for 1 second I'm about to push back on anything you just offered in that statement?
You can.
Right. So I cannot. And so what I'm telling you is, what you are applying now is not the facts as they were given to me. Ayanla did not ask me, Ebony, would you date a bus driver that also had a real estate portfolio? Ayanla did not ask me. Hold on now. Ebony, would you date a bus driver that also has a litany of franchises? Because you and your wife.
Typically, bus drivers don't own anything else. They just go to work and come back home, take care of their family. Okay. So again, stop
the cap.
Okay. On all sides of this argument, on Envy's side, and she's right. That's not what they asked her. She was thinking a typical bus driver. And now back to the conversation. Ebony, you don't want to date a typical bus driver, and that's not a crime. It's called preferences. Doesn't mean you won't end up with one if he has good game. It doesn't mean that. Gentlemen, stop engaging meaningless conversations around preferences. Everyone have preferences that intersect with fantasy type of thing. Everyone will eventually settle down, not necessarily settle for less, because they will observe values that they didn't think about ahead of time. It could be something as simple as social skills. If you have game and you're a bus driver, you can bag a chick like Ebony, as long as you can end up in the same circle, same setting with her, because that's not going to happen virtually, right? These people, man.
Just about 5, right? Six crystals? Crystal burgers. Okay. She didn't ask. That was not the framing of the question, Envy. Yep. Had that been the framing of the question, I would have said, Dr. Vons, where the fuck he at?
So real quick, man, you have to come with a resume to say all the properties that I own, or do you get to know that man and see what he's about?
But see, that's semantics now.
That is semantics. If she wants to get to know a person because they end up in the same circle, people will determine that when that happens. You don't ask them up front or ahead of time. That's not how reality works. If you ask somebody, would you date a person pushing them up in the office where they will say no. Does that mean they won't end up in that situation? No, it doesn't mean that either. It doesn't mean that. Yeah. He's just saying to say that she can't talk down on bus drivers because they do other things. Typically, people that are bus drivers just do bus driving, okay? That's majority. Yes, there are some, right? And when you ask her a question and all you're saying is, would you date a bus driver? We're going to assume you're talking about a typical bus driver, not the one that has, all that kind of stuff, right? Or a truck driver. A typical person, when you say truck driver, they're not thinking money. They're not thinking six figure. They're just thinking truck driver or being away from home for a lot of times, right? It is what it is. That doesn't mean they won't end up with one, though. That's the problem with this conversation. As opposed to teaching people game, teaching men game, teaching women game, talking about the social dynamics of things, the emotional. We're talking about nonsense. Literally, preferences. They end up on paper and die there alone. All these men act like they don't have a freaking preference. It's a struggle. Yeah, most people drive a bus and go. Sometimes go drive a second. They will go and drive. They will drive regular bus, and they will go and drive to take to school bus. They drive school bus in the morning. Some of them will go and join. This is just their life. It's hard to do. Let me tell you something. I do multiple hustles. It's hard. Okay, it's not easy for a normal human being to finish about 3 hustles and then come in late night and come and talk for 2-3 hours again. Right? No, that's not a typical person. A typical person does not have YouTube channels talking. Like, where's this unrealistic reality in people's heads? Right? Go make sense. What's up, Gracious Greatness? Shout out to you, man. Truck drivers make money though. Yeah, the typical person don't think six figures when they think truck drivers, right? And the cost of being a truck driver is another thing. They have to be away from the house, the ones that are making money a lot, right? So there's so much there that people are not talking about when they cast questions that are straight line generalized questions, right? There's so much there. It's like nurses. Nurses make money though. Yes, they make money. But at what cost, right? At what cost? Oh yeah, tech people make money though. But at what cost? Those are some of the things we need to talk about, right? And with respect to what? Like it's a subjective sentence essentially. You know, that's what I'm trying to say. But bus driver means bus driver, not bus driver that is going to after seminar to go and buy homes. Envy. Okay, it means a bus driver, and that was the question that was thrown at her, and she's right to give the answer that she gave, because that answer was based off of preferences that most typical human beings have. But it's not reality of what may end up happening, because as you move through life, it's a journey of faith, you will discover additional values in other aspects of life beyond just preferences that people write on paper. Okay, that's why people end up in relationships sometimes that are toxic, and they're like, they don't know why they're there, because there was some kind of value they were getting in other aspects of life, and now it's just all messy, right? It's deeper than surface black and white anything. Okay, and I'm not asking you to know everything up front. Just be aware that preferences are just preferences, and conversations around this should just be fun conversation. What do you like? Oh, I like my man to be a multimillionaire, a Dangote. Okay, cool. Nice. May God bless you with the Dangote. You shouldn't go there and say, these women are just unrealistic. Shut your ass up. Okay? And I get it. Sometimes you're like, well, the results we are creating is not good. Our women are becoming single mothers. You still need to be patient in that conversation and stop being so quick to engage blaming and shaming. Because you're not going to create any better result. You're going to create an Eboni K. She's going to respond back with fire for fire. Because now she doesn't feel safe. She feels attacked. Even though she might still cap under the I'm selling the book. But this is real. Our emotions are caught up in this. You know? So, anyway.
Here's the thing. Y'all didn't listen to the whole Ayanla interview.
Go ahead, Shar.
Ebony actually agreed with Ayanla.
She
That's
did.
what's confusing me. Well, because you actually agreed with Ayanla when she talked about, you should be open to dating a bus driver. You can build with.
She did. Look at her face, but she forgot she agreed with Ayanla. She's now engaged with the stupid talking points, just like the rest of them. She forgot that she actually agreed with Ayanla.
The whole
Watch
Ayanla
this.
interview.
Go ahead, Shar.
Ebony actually agreed with Ayanla. That's what's confusing me. Well, because you actually agreed with Ayanla when she talked about.
Look at her face. She is surprised. Like, oh yeah, that's true. I kind of did agree. I brought up the conversation about masculinity. You brought that up, divinity. She brought that up. She completely forgot about that right now. This is how conversations get lost. This is how conversations get lost. The conversation, let's get back to it. It's very simple. I will keep trying to see if I can get back to it. As a woman, a social commentator making a millionaire. Let's just say a millionaire. She's easily a millionaire. Right? Can you date the bus driver? That's the question. The answer is yes or no. Or does she own the bus? Right? What do you mean own the bus? That will be my next question. Do you need him to own the bus before you can date? Is that what you're saying? You're saying no unless she owns the bus, right? All right, good. What's wrong with the bus driver? Then we can go through that rabbit hole and answer that question properly. Like, what is to you? Why is just a bus driver who goes to 9 to 5 or goes to 6 to 12 in the afternoon and comes home to relax and watch football? Why would that not be good enough for you? We can have a conversation around that without shaming her, without blaming her, and then we can pick her brain and understand. From a standpoint of attraction, why would a woman like that not be attracted to a bus driver? Attraction, just off of talking, because in reality, she may end up being attracted to a guy. Because it's happening. Women are paying bills in these households. Let's stop the cap.
Stop the cap.
Women are paying bills. They're not paying bills. They're paying bills. In majority of these households. Oh no, they don't pay majority of the bill. No. Stop the cap. Just because she didn't put it on spreadsheet doesn't mean that her money is not going into you all's lifestyles. So you're basically shaming nothing. You're shaming nothing. If she ends up deciding to settle down, there's an extremely good chance that the person she settles with will make less than her anyway. White or black, that's the reality. Stop the cap. Six figure. That's how many people are making six figures in America. It's less than 1%. What are you talking about? It's not the reality. Okay. If she falls in love with somebody that has good game, nobody's going to be talking about how much money he makes. They're just going to be taking care of themselves. Oh, but women generally, they don't know how to respect anybody making money less than them. That's also cap. There is a tendency.
Cap.
If you don't know how to move like a man and you also make less money, yes, your disrespect is that close. Okay? If that's what you're talking about. But just that by itself does not create disrespect. Okay? All you need to do is learn. Competence. Learn how to make a woman feel safe and secure. The money is not an issue. It becomes an issue because, like everything else, when you don't know how to figure out what's going on at an emotional level, you point fingers at everything you can see easily. AKA finances. AKA he cheated. No, but what else happened on that before we got to that point? Irreconcilable differences. Where's the pride conversation? Right? Where's the conversation around pride? Where's the conversation around unrealistic expectations? None. You can't find them anywhere. Where's the conversation around seduction and attraction? Self-awareness, emotional intelligence, power intelligence, social intelligence. Where is that conversation? No, but as a community, legacy, liberation. What kind of liberation are you seeking outside of mental? I don't understand. If you don't feel free, you're not free. No matter how much money you have. Okay? I wish the question went that route, Ola. Yeah. Now, everybody would rather cap. Everybody. A lot of women are the breadwinners and very quiet about it. Yep. I mean, we could just look at the numbers. Okay? Someone's going to try to pull out the stats of all the single men that are single at 39 for me right now. I'm like, oh, these men are not having kids. Like that's I said married. Households. Okay? I'm not talking about the leftover men. I'm talking about households. The ones that are married. Oftentimes, the lifestyle they live is supported by their woman, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just the society we live in. Nobody is going out there to kill lions anymore. Okay? No, you should work for your husband because, that's the, shut your ass. Unrealistic at best. Unrealistic. It's unrealistic. But anyway, let's continue a little bit.
You should be open to dating a bus driver. You can build with a bus driver. You actually agreed with that. So that was confusing me when
you agreed with Ayala. Then also conflated more and said a loving man, someone that loves what they does. There was a whole lot of other things. So she agreed that, of course, I want a loving man. I want a man that's passionate. I want a man with a plan. All the other things that came after the bus driver is what Eboni agreed to.
Yeah, so I say, why let the griot put out a clip that is more salacious and out of context when you actually did agree with Ayana?
Well, I'm not going to throw the griot under the bus. See what I did there? But what I am going to do, is say that we know the business that we are in. So you said something, Charlamagne, on the show yesterday. We're like, we're entertainers, and we have to not over index for our. Yeah. Okay, so I want to be clear.
True.
My beloved, I'm actually not an entertainer. I'm not.
Oh God! Stop it! Stop the semantics, Jesus! Where are we going with this again?
Stop the cap.
Oh. Can we get back to would you date a bus driver? Jesus Christ!
I'm an educator. I'm an advocate. I happen to use the form of television, radio, and podcasting to do my work. See, we can't conflate platform with purpose. So why did the griot and the brilliant, talented team of journalists over there decide to use the bus driver clip, which is sensational and controversial? Because let's be honest, the griot is not getting the eyeballs the Breakfast Club is getting. Revolt Black News is not getting the eyeballs the Breakfast Club is getting.
That's true. That platform is blowing up right now. That platform is going to blow up right now. That's very, very, very true. The griot is blowing up right now. It's good stuff. Let me see here. Let's continue. That's why I said maybe this is about selling books, or it became about selling books.
Or the View is getting, or the Talk used to get. Because the nature of not just black culture, of American culture, is entertainment first. So when you start doing the work of educating around where artificial intelligence is taking the culture, where you start doing the work about where criminal justice reform, how this summer, the U.S. Supreme Court, y'all, affirmative action, as we all know it, that shit is gone. Know that. But no one is going.
Okay, so would you date a bus driver, auntie, that goes to work at 7 in the morning and come back at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Would you date a bus driver and he does nothing else? He just has a little bit of something going into 401k at work. Would you date a bus driver?
To watch in the volume that we need to have the impact that I seek as a teacher in this world, Charlamagne, if we don't put out that clickbait. That's the reality.
So it was to bring attention to a larger conversation.
And guess what? What we know, because we all sitting here today talking about this shit a week later, is it worked.
It worked.
But then you came back and the next day people feel like you doubled down on what you said.
I don't feel like I did.
Okay.
I stood 10 toes down.
And
But
what did
I
you
don't
say
think
when
that
you
was
when you-
standing down, though. I think you completely took a different turn.
I
That
agree.
was.
She took a different turn.
Tough to watch. And you know.
That's not what she was talking about. That's not what she took a completely different turn as opposed to actually staying 10 toes down. Like, well, I asked a question about masculinity. I think us black women need to learn some things about the dynamics and how we're going to, because we still love black men, right? That would have been a very, like, an extremely positive conversation. And even if they drag you, which they will still drag you, okay? The modern man is just in that space, okay? It won't last because they're like, what are you talking about? Okay, she has the question, right? But she doubles down, aka as in like went in the direction of what they were suspecting. She would say, well, in reality, that's what's going to happen. You will attract what you fear the most. She didn't say anything about dragging bus drivers or black men. She didn't say anything about that. She asked a simple question and she offered preferences, right?
No, I love you, but like.
No, you don't have, but I feel you, but that has love ain't got nothing to do with it. Tina told us that. So go ahead. I want to hear the
Because to me,
response.
10 toes down would have been like, yeah, this is the choice that I'm making. This is my preference. This is the type of man I want.
Yes, that's 10 toes down. That will be 10 toes down, not gravitating in the direction of people you feel were shaming you, which I think naturally you would do that. Like, oh, you think I'm a bitch? I'm going to show you a bitch. That's basically what she did. If some of our men have to go and hunt for lion, who will be starving. No, they would not have time for dragging women. That's precisely what will happen. They will show up. Soft life is part of the things that's affecting us. Okay, it's a soft life issue. People have time to talk about nothing, literally. Okay. Wahala. She already gave you an answer, Oga, which is no. Right? That was no. But she's doubling down in another direction. So we want to bring her back so we can re-establish the answer. We're not sure if she meant no. Maybe she would date a bus driver after all, you know. In my personal opinion, I think any woman would date any man in any space. You just need to feel safe and secure. Now, are there other factors that will basically tamper with that? Yes. For example, social status is a real thing. Some people just, that can tamper with feeling safe, right? Social status, class would tamper with feeling safe. It goes back to feeling safe and secure, you know? Oh, let's keep going. Let's go back.
What I watched, were you talking about people as a whole?
Right.
And even white supremacy, bringing up, calling.
Yes.
saying average, like it to me, it felt like almost attack on the working class and the people that were in them comments more than it was the man you're looking for.
So
That's it.
I'm glad you brought that up.
She decided to tackle the people that were tackling her, and yeah, this is gonna go a little bit more viral because of that. That's fine. I'm here for it, but I think it helps us have the conversation that's much needed anyway. The modern men act like women. Yeah, sorry to say. They want to be kept men. Jesus Christ. 50-50, right? Even though that's the reality already, they're still like yelling for 50-50 in terms of finances, right? But anyway, let's keep going.
Because that is the turn that I took. So at this point, who gives a fuck about who Eboni K.
There you
Williams
go.
is dating? Let's throw that over to the side.
Wait, let's go back.
Turn that I took. So at this point, who gives a fuck about who Eboni K. Williams is dating? Let's throw that over to the side because it's irrelevant.
That's your preference.
Let's talk about your book instead. Right? Let's just talk about your book, right? This with a, you know.
And, who gives a fuck, right? So now let's talk about my real work in this world, the work God has called me to do, which is to always sit in a posture of elevating, advancing, and offering options to Black Americans for us to have a first-class existence. So when I talk about a permanent Black underclass, that's something that I talked about in the response video that Weezy cited. A lot of people...
She just called Black people permanent underclass. Just... in case you missed that. Let's continue.
Felt a way about that. What the fuck does she mean, a permanent Black underclass? What I mean is the data. So I sent Charlemagne a bar graph from the U.S. Census yesterday, and it listed about 15 different...
She is intelligent. Absolutely.
Global identity. So again, you got to zoom out for this. This is not about Black folks and white folks in America. This is global. At the top of that, y'all, this is earnings. Indian Americans earn more than anybody else in America. At the very bottom, Black Americans. It's like they were earning about $100,000 per year per average, not a few, not half. 100% of their average is 100,000 plus. We were down here at around 28,000, 30,000. Okay, where are white people? In the middle, they weren't up here. So that's why I have a personal problem with a lot of the culture saying that we should not have to be excellent. We talked about this, Charlemagne.
This is a very triggering conversation. A lot of people, they don't like to have this type of conversation. The direction that the conversation is going on right now. Very true. Like, will that bus driver be able to conduct himself if he's a date to Eboni's company's Christmas party? Exactly. Right? Exactly. Is it that bus driver that he has the social skill and is mingling with people? And it's like, what do you do for a living? I said, I'm a bus driver in New York City. They're like, really, you are? See that surprise? And he won't take an offense to that. Like, he understands, like, yeah, bus driver in this setting, and he's able to conduct himself. If he's that guy, he can bag any Eboni all he wants. It's happening too. It happens from time to time. It's just not typical. Okay, but it happens. Okay, so Eboni is not necessarily waiting for a rich man, contrary to what the modern man thinks. She's waiting for somebody that can handle the situation. That is a big deal that she is Eboni. Okay, so all our youth pondering to Eboni and whatever you want to call it, call it. I'm telling you, the reality is that for you to be a bus driver and date an Eboni K, right? Even if she was a 2, look wise. You're gonna have to show up with a little bit more than just I'm a good man. I love my mama. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to show up with a little bit more than that. Okay? If you're a good man, that's good for you. That's good for you. Okay? This is not the reality. It's not enough. Okay? There's a lot of good people. It doesn't entitle you to a woman like Eboni K. That's entitlement. Not unrealistic on her part because she actually has that lifestyle, right? Am I encouraging her to stay single? No, I'm just telling you that's the reality. Most likely going to be the reality if there's nothing that can match that. You know? So yeah, this is a big part of our conversations here. Social skills, social intelligence. Shout out to Deb. Deb, good to say. She was very defensive and with her speech and below the belt, nah. She was precisely what she was talking about. And I think we knew that, the masculine energy, right? We knew that from the moment she asked the question, right? We knew that. They confirmed that, right? And she's showing up. She's showing up. But remember, that's not a crime. It's just the reality of how things play out when you are an Ebony K. Okay? So for her to go into that feminine space, oh yeah, it's going to take a little bit more than being a good man. I'm sorry. So that's a bad deal for a man. Well, if you see it that way, then it's properly perfect. Perfection just happened. Right? You don't belong together. Let's keep going.
And yes, on the phone. We should get to be basically as mediocre, as average as white Americans. For me, that's a no. I'm going to tell you why. I travel the world. Y'all all travel the world. Y'all are global citizens, and we're blessed and privileged to do so. I got news for y'all. White mediocrity is depreciating fast. So I'm not going to hold white mediocrity, white subpar, white averageness as a standard for the generation of black children we're raising today.
Well, what does America do without the working class?
First of all, it's not about not having a working class. It's saying that why do black people, I'm so glad you asked this.
She's talking like an elite and she's thinking her way through and she's hyper. She's not as calm as she was on her own show. The emotions are in full-blown action right now. Okay? You could just see how she's hyper. What's the word that Deb used? Yeah, she is defensive. Yeah. She is defensive. Listen, you're going to be triggered by someone out here and they will say something that triggers you. Maybe they call you out of your name, and you know, they say something that doesn't feel like a compliment and you will have a urge to shalaye. Don't do it. Don't do it, okay? Don't do it.
This. Why do black people disproportionately occupy it? Now, you made a very good point yesterday, Charlamagne, talking about essential workers, okay? America found out, if we didn't know before, how essential our bus drivers, our MTA drivers, our home health nurses, our custodians, our grocery store workers were during fast food, all of it, during COVID. And God knows we were ringing those pots and shouting them out, and God bless our essential workers. Nobody loves them more than your girl here. But you know what I don't love is that black folks died at a 2-to-1 rate of during COVID, that black folks were on ventilators more often during COVID. And part of the reason why that was the case, y'all, is because we over-index in the blue-collar working sector, in the essential jobs. And many of us don't have the option that we all had, which was to do our jobs virtually. So we are on the front lines in a way that disproportionately makes us vulnerable. We're dying.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Whatever she's talking about right now, is it not true all the way across the board? Is that just black people? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to process it, right? Most people didn't have the options that a Charlamagne and Envy and Ebony K would have during COVID, working remotely. Right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah? Was that not true across the board? White people, Chinese people, anybody from anywhere. Majority of people didn't have the option of staying at home, the luxury of a Charlamagne or Envy or Ebony K, the person that makes $300,000 or more per year, right? Because as black people, if we're still struggling in society, right, are we really helping ourselves by asking people, like every black people, to become entrepreneurs? Is that really helpful? I'm really asking, you know. I understand from a standpoint of maybe as many people as possible. We need to own, right? But I'm struggling to get the point she's making here, because she's talking to the audience of Breakfast Club. These are average people at the end of the day. Majority of them, even if the entrepreneurship is hard as shit. Everyone is not built for that. Just even in reality, right? And like Chia just said, We need all types of workers in this society. However, it's not her preference to many to marry someone from a lower class single. But she said we should forget about that. She said nobody cares. So now she's still drilling in and trying to make this point. Yeah. I don't know how that relates to what she's saying. Black people are quicker to get subpar health care. So I don't know how that relates. Okay. Help me. I don't know what these people stay talking about. It's unrealistic as ever. Plus, everyone doesn't want to do that. Yeah, because she's talking about the options that Charlemagne and Envy that they have, right? They're trying to break generational curse. That is why they want to be rich. So business owners, I'm here for it. I want to encourage people. It's actually the line of what I do, right? I want to encourage as many people as possible. I don't want to be delusional either, right? Because the idea is I put out a marketing message, particularly to people that potentially wanted a side gig, a side hustle, people that want to get into real estate, people that want to get into digital business, stuff like that, right? I put that out because it's marketing, because I know that even everybody that starts will not finish, right? But she's on the stage and she's talking like that is a bad thing, particularly for the black community. But if I was to guess, I would say, okay, so maybe she's saying that we don't have that luxury of being subpar. She kept talking about we don't have that luxury of being mediocrity. People are interpreting it, actively interpreting it as you're calling us, black people, mediocre, right? So I don't know, right? Everyone is not going to be an entrepreneur. It's not realistic. Everybody cannot be. Yeah, so even me, I push against myself. I'm like, but that's true. But I'm trying to put a message just in case somebody's out there that has that gift, right? But that's not what she's doing. She's literally, she is shaming black people. Damn it. Right? Just because they ask her a simple question that already had an answer. She would not date a bus driver. That's fine. That's fine. But this Shalaye is not hiding up. It's not hiding up. You know? Oh, this is a struggle. Let's continue.
Because of it. That is my issue. Not to disrespect these people.
I feel like you're changing the goalposts, right? But people were
She is changing the goalposts. But let's see if you can help her bring it back.
Said about was what you said, and everything that you said could absolutely positively be true. People were upset that they felt like that you were putting down the average person, quote unquote average job, and the person that was working the average job. That
black men, they feel like the feelings are listen, you don't have to, not all feelings are valid. I saw that somewhere yesterday. I was like, that's such a lame talk. Literally, all feelings is all that matters. They are valid by default. But Envy is saying they feel like, so he's making a point.
That they're what they do is not as good as what you do.
That's a projection, Envy. Envy, that's a projection. Because
I'll let you speak. Let me talk.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So when you start talking about all this, and I read the comments just like you did because I wanted to prepare myself when you came up here to understand what people were mad about and understand what people were upset about. So when you're talking about all this brother this and the black man this and the white supremacy this and this, that, and the other, that's all to the side of how you felt about that quote unquote average job, right? And I'll be honest with you, right? One of the comments that I said, and maybe I'm not sure, right? The guy was like, you talk about all this about lifting a brother up and lifting this up and white supremacy and what you do for our people. And then the first thing the brother said was, but your fiance was white. And I'm sitting there like, how do you talk about how much you're uplifting and how much you're going for black people, but that's not necessarily what you're even looking for?
Well, first of all,
wait. That's a lot. Jesus Christ. Deb said she is shaming and putting the black community down. I didn't want to say that. She's now feeling too privileged and very... Listen, I want smoke on this platform. If you guys smoke for me, please feel free to bring it at any time. Okay, I'm a big boy. I can handle it, okay? Of course, I agree with you on this one, but just in case you ever feel a different opinion against what I'm saying, I think iron sharpens iron, and you should share it so that I can, at the very minimum, I will learn. Okay, so shout out to you, Deb. But the truth is that when I heard this part, the clip that I heard on Instagram earlier, that triggered me, like, you know what, I want to react to this. That clip was just this part, and when I heard it, I'm like, whoa, is it by force? This is where the thumbnail came from. Okay, that's where the thumbnail came from. Let me show you the thumbnail again. Like, is it by force? If somebody doesn't want to date a freaking bus drivers, they shouldn't have to be forced to do that. This one right here, this thumbnail, that's where it came from. Is it by force? That's why I asked the question. That's what triggered me. But I make whatever triggered me. Whatever triggered me or something I feel will trigger something. That's what we make the thumbnails, right? That's where they came from. But I was like, you know what? It's better that I go listen from the beginning so I can get some context, right? And the context that I'm getting so far is that this woman has completely left what the conversation was about, and she's capping big time, right? Because she's firing back at the people that shamed her. And what do hurt people do? Hurt people do what? Hurt people, right? We know that, right? And that's what she's actively doing right now. She's kind of trying to do it in a way. She became a little sarcastic earlier by saying, you know, bus drivers, are you sure they didn't have to do cocaine? Oh, I'm just kidding. And then you can see her, it's almost like she's almost hyperventilating on that chair, right? So please feel free to bring me smoke anytime, you know. But we're right on track here. We're getting the full context, okay? Precisely what she brought up, the conversation is still playing out. The masculine energy, when it shows up, when it's not really necessary. The reasons why they show up is playing out right now. When a woman feels unsafe and insecure, the masculine energy is the natural next order of things, because she must protect herself, even if she does it the wrong way. That's what you're still looking at playing out right now. That's what you're still watching, okay? Even though it looks like we're bringing liberation, she's shaming black people. She's like, all this kind of throwing the whole community under the bus for something that clearly happened to everybody. The pandemic happened to everybody. Everybody, majority of people did not have options. They were not central workers. Not just black people, right?
Dr. Umar, damn.
Well, let's address it. And let's not skip a beat.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would love to know how you, Envy, know what I'm looking for, because we never had the conversation.
I don't know.
But
I'm telling you what people are saying on comments, what I've read, and I'm talking for them. I'm not a bus driver. I'm speaking for the average person out there, because I feel for them, because the bus drivers and the average person are what keep.
We know she's not looking for a bus driver, even though she's having a hard time admitting that all the way after the comment of does he own the bus, right? Which is a no. She doesn't want a bus driver, right? But she's been explaining now for 3 days, you know, for about, 30 minutes. We know that she doesn't want bus driver. We don't know what she wants. Envy doesn't know what you want, but he knows that you don't want a bus driver. The part that I would want to convince her, if I knew her, I was like, you know, it's okay that you don't want bus driver, right? You know, you don't have to worry about a bunch of lame men dragging you on the internet, right? But I doubt if she will believe me, because she probably enjoys being dragged. My wife and I talked a little bit earlier. Some women are attracted to aggressive behavior from men. Oh, you didn't see that coming. This is reality. Some women, not women only, but people in general, some people are generally attracted to toxic environment only. If they're not being dragged, they're not attracted to it. It's boring. Welcome to the real world.
keeps these lights on here on the Breakfast Club.
That's right.
They keep me booking
Envy,
shows.
nobody
They
is
keep
saying-
me at
okay,
the
first of all, this is
HBCUs.
not about you
But
booking
I'm asking.
shows.
I'm
This
just
is
telling you how
about-
I feel. So when you shit on the people that
No, first
ride
of all,
with me, I
Envy,
ride
you're
with them.
dead ass wrong for framing it as me shitting on them.
You don't
First
think it was
of-
shitting on them?
I know it. First of all, I know it wasn't. I think what you're saying
Have
right
you
now
read the
is
comments of how people
irresponsible.
feel?
I think what you're saying
Do you
is
understand how people
irresponsible.
feel? Do you listen to the calls, how people feel?
I think what you are framing right now in this moment is highly irresponsible.
How?
Because I'm going to, if you listen, I'm going to tell you. Because if
Can you see why I was triggered? When I was like, I gotta do this session because I was like, is it by force? But then seeing where she's coming from, I'm like, yeah, she's not helping herself.
you are to listen to all of the full Iyanla interview, the full sidebar, the full episode of Holding Court, nowhere in any of that commentary did I say a cross or negative word about the working class of Black America, of America broadly, or Black men. I'm going to get to the why was my fiance. MB, let me finish this statement.
Do you know what
I'm
people
going
feel?
to get to.
Just because
but
you
I
didn't
don't
mean to
deal
hurt
in
somebody,
feelings.
just
First
because
of
you
all,
didn't
I
mean to
don't
affect
deal-
somebody doesn't mean you didn't hurt a community.
I don't
could say
deal
anything
in
about somebody and
feelings.
be like, I didn't mean it.
That is a fact. The idea of being offensive oftentimes means you didn't realize you were being offensive. Okay? We get it. You didn't mean to offend a person. We get that. Typically, that's the case. Doesn't mean you won't offend a person, though. Deb says, Ola, I got it. Thanks. I respect her choice. It's just that women supporting women cannot always work. I'm trying to understand, but she's just sinking deeper and is becoming messy. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. We can look at things objectively and just see and just make sure we get the full context, right? And anyone could be sinking like this, right? It could be a man, it could be a woman. If you go to a platform and everybody that's always sinking is the man, then, you know, we got a problem, obviously. And there are platforms like that, all that. They tend to grow the fastest. It is what it is, okay? But yeah, I wonder what was Iyanla's reasoning for asking her that. The question came, she started it, okay? She actually, let me see if I can find that again. She actually started the conversation. Let's see here. The griot. Let me see if I can find it really quickly for you. Yeah, the griot has blown up now over the past few days. I'm gonna try to find it for you. Okay, so right there. Okay, let me share this with you.
It's about being a woman.
All right, so here is it. This is what started the conversation. She was the one that initiated the conversation altogether. Okay, I'm gonna play it again.
Their Iyanla, 23% of single Black motherhood and family life, but she was by definition more of a father figure in terms of
All right,
providing
so
and
this
protecting.
is it.
I'm gonna get if she's angry because clear and how to tap into. I discovered how off I was.
No, Just I think it would be good to revisit it just to bring us up to
watch
context again.
as I rebuilt crown and my crown is straight.
Okay. I'm looking forward to straightening my crown.
Okay, this is
Dr.
it.
Iyanla. Let me ask you this. Let's get to the logistics, though. Let's get to the logistics. We know that Black women are earning college degrees faster than anybody else. Many of us are doing like we're doing, Iyanla. We're getting those terminal degrees, those JDs.
This was the original
PhDs.
question.
We also are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs, along with Latina women in America. Pew Research said that women are now out-earning men
Yes.
in 22
Yes.
of the largest cities in America, including where I live, New York, DC, LA, you name it. When we talk, and I know that you've said that you cannot teach a man or tell a man how to be a man, so I will not ask you to indict men in this question. But I do want you to speak, Iyanla, to how women need to, position ourselves so that we can be in our divinity, so we can have our crowns right, how we can create and not build, when some of us, quite frankly, feel that the men that are available to us, and I'm talking about across the color spectrum, across the age spectrum, trust me, I've done them all, they are not positioned to protect nor provide because of some of the statistics we just talked about. They're not earning the incomes, they're not having the resources, and some of them are not even showing up in the leadership.
Would you date a bus driver? You. Would you date?
If he owns the bus. If he owns
No.
it. If he owns the bus.
See, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. Because
All right, so that's what brought the question about. See, in these spaces on the internet, everybody's talking in generalities, and God helps you. You ask somebody something personal. Oh my God, they go left completely. What does that have to do with anything? So even at one point, I came up with a question I thought would help lower the guards a little bit. Like somebody may be talking in generalities about how terrible men are, and then I'll be like, can you give me some context? What do you mean? And they could tell where I'm going. I need you to tell me something personal, okay? Or if you go something like, are you married? You're like, what does that have to do with anything? Well, you're about to shame single people now, right? They get triggered, right? But the reality is that these conversations get nowhere if we don't know what the hell you're coming from, right? And I think that's what Miss Yala was trying to do. Like, would you date the bus driver? Oh no. Now, I don't agree with her answer, which is that's a problem. I don't think that's a problem. I think preferences are preferences. You want this woman, you need to step your game up. It's really that simple. You know? Really that simple. But that's where it came from. She wanted to have some context. Would you, wait, with all this Pew research, all this statistics, data, because she's intelligent, she knows everything that you're spewing at me right now. Would you date the bus driver? She went blank for a second. If he owns the bus. And now today we're talking about the black community. Like, dude, no, that wasn't about black community. This was about, would you date the bus driver? We're trying to get some context. What was your personal experience? What is your personal experience right now? That's what we need to know. The same thing goes for both men and women. So when you end up on a panel, everybody is talking in generality. At best, it will make the content creators money. They're basically mostly useless talk. Okay? They're filtered nonsense that nobody gains nothing from. Not on a personal level. Okay? Yeah.
To hurt you, but if you hurt people, you hurt people. If people feel a way about you, they feel a way about you because those people that you talk about are the people that buy your books, that listen to this show, and they're hurt.
Ebony, what about words like average, mediocrity, typical, and the bigotry or low expectations? I think those are the words that hurt the working class.
You can sit here and say, no, I didn't hurt nobody. You hurt people out there that buy your books and follow you and support you.
You asked me to be quiet. Y'all, please. Y'all asked me to be quiet. I listened to you.
Don't do her like that. I wonder if she will ever concede in this conversation. Anybody want to guess? Do you think she will concede and say, you know what? I can see. Will she do that? Anybody want to guess? Well, I added it to the question there. In my opinion, Iyala does like to provoke though. Well, that's Iyala. That's what she does, right? That's why they invite her to that stage, right? I never agree she could have kept the "that's a problem" to herself. You think? Well, hell no, she won't agree. She's a double downer. Yeah, she's right. I'm a double downer. I tend to be double downer too, which is something I need to watch. Okay, because pride shows up exactly like that. Okay, shows up quite like that a lot. Something we all have to be careful about, right? Yeah, I think Iyala was doing what she does best. You know. I don't think it's I disagree with her that that's a problem. The problem is bigger than that, than just her choices and her preferences. There's no one's preferences that will make up a problem. Somebody must be subscribing to the preferences for it to become a problem. Okay? If you have a preference of what you like, that can be a problem for me when there's an active marketplace out here. I could just keep it moving. Right? Yeah. I'm not combative. No, I'm passive aggressive. I tend to be more passive aggressive, which is worse. I retain my energy. I save my energy for bullshit. You know. I mean, I save my energy away from bullshit. Like some things are just not worth my time. But yeah, I could be passive aggressive, negative by the way. But yep. Anyway, let's continue.
your full statement. I understand you
And
have
now
a
that you talk
feeling
for
about
22
it.
minutes, and I just spoke for 60
But
seconds.
she is here to talk to him.
I know,
So
but I'm
let her-
just saying, I just spoke for 60 seconds.
we got ours off already.
That went personal.
And I just spoke.
Y'all asked me to be quiet. I listened to your full statement. I understand you
And now
have a
that you talk
feeling
for
about
22
it.
minutes, and I just spoke for 60
But
seconds.
she is here to talk to him.
I know,
So
but
let her-
I'm just
let-
saying.
Envy doesn't have a feeling about it. That's shaming. That's a shaming tactic. He said clearly that this is what people felt about it. But I get it. She had to make it about the persons. As intelligent as she is, when your emotions are caught up, your intelligence, your IQ, the intellectual quotient goes right into the porta.
Statement. I understand you
And now
have a
that you talk
feeling
for
about
22
it.
minutes, and I just spoke for 60
But
seconds.
she is here to talk to him.
I know,
So
but
let
I'm
her-
just saying, I just spoke for 60 seconds.
we got ours off already. Let Ebony talk.
I'm just returning what she said.
Go ahead,
But
go ahead,
don't
Ebony.
act like I didn't let her speak. She spoke for 22
Absolutely.
minutes.
Go ahead, Ebony. Let her talk.
All right, Envy, come on, Envy.
So, Envy, this is where we're different. My primary focus and goal when I do what I do in the world is not to protect feelings. I'm going to be candid with you.
This is precisely what the modern men say. Okay? It's a problematic statement to make. No one is asking you to protect feelings. Okay? No one is ever asking anybody to protect feelings. What they're asking you, me in particular, what I'm asking you to do is stop the cap. Don't expect, it's unrealistic expectations at best that you will say something into the open air and people won't have their feelings about it. That's lame behavior. I don't care how you feel. That's your fault. You interpret it that way. No. If you have to say that, you're also entangled up in the emotions of things and you're struggling. No one is asking anybody to protect feelings. But you need to be aware, self-awareness, that people will respond how they, and they have the right to respond how they respond. As long as it's all in verbal and emotional. If they don't cross those lines, then you have to eat that up. You have to hold the hell and say, I'm attracting what that person is saying back to me. It's an attraction. It's attraction playing a role there. You said something to trigger somebody to say something. It's not a matter of fault or I'm trying to blame you, but I'm saying if you're trying to accomplish something at all, you're going to pay attention to that. Pay attention to that. Like, oh, I don't protect feelings. Nah, that's a lame talk. Okay? And oftentimes I hear a lot of intelligent people talk like that.
I understand. It's clear from the energy.
There's no better way to tell me that you just got caught up in your emotions. Okay? There's no better way to tell me that you just got caught up in your emotions by saying, well, I don't feed into emotions. Thank you for telling me that you just got caught up in your emotions. Power struggle at this point. When I sincerely care, I also care how what I say is interpreted. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And I'm willing to provide clarity and context, right? And no one is perfect, but we just need to acknowledge that when you do get caught up like that, that's you being caught up in your emotions, okay? We all care. If you're engaged in a conversation with the person, especially when you're caught up in your emotions, you do care. Everyone, we all care. And if you're having a hard time admitting that you care, that's part of the problems. That's part of the problems. That's the problem in that entanglement right there.
That there is an emotional attack that you felt was on black men, the working class, and black America. I'm going to hold the space for the hurt feelings around that. But
there's no buts around that. Of course she has to say but.
than I care about hurt feelings, I care about providing my people with facts and information that say that the current way of life for the majority of black Americans is not serving us. I'm going off of the data and
Stop
the
the
facts.
cap.
It is. I am not okay, and I don't think it's okay that the vast majority of Black Americans, again, overpopulate, disproportionately occupy spaces that are not ideal, that make us vulnerable. I talked about the COVID, that make us vulnerable to death, disease, maternal health, all.
Damn, there's no way all of this is not offensive. She's literally talking about everybody that worked in the hospital. I was consulting in a hospital setting at that time. Okay? There's no way she's not talking about anyone involved in the healthcare sector in this conversation, which a lot of them make good money. But they had to be in that ward. Omar, I think the main lesson here is Shalaye, avoid the urge, okay? You just talk, the more you talk, the more you get into trouble.
All the things that y'all all talk about on this show every day. Now, if y'all are okay with the current positioning of Black America, that we are the lowest income, the lowest home ownership, the lowest educated group, then so be it. And let's just stop talking now and keep on going about our business. Envy, I'm not okay with it. So that is why I said what I said about addressing the bigotry of low expectations. It's the bigotry of low expectations is the reason why I have to submit that Black men are now going to HBCUs and college and generally at half the rate of Black girls and women. I don't think that's okay.
Shouldn't we address the system that put us in these positions?
We are.
Listen, I don't know, but I think, yeah, there's no way she's not offensive right now. I'm trying to think of a context where we can say, let's give her an out, all this kind of stuff. And I agree, she's a very smart girl, but we talk about relationships here. There's no way the way she talks and the way she's quite argumentative, there's no way that's not a turn off for even the best of men out there. There's no way. All right. Listen, let's talk about it. Anti-seducers, poisons. Let's show the poisons really quickly. Shame, insult, blame and fault, judgment, condemnation, guilt, discrete logic, which intelligent people tend to get stuck in. Those are poisons. Sarcasm, she's demonstrated that earlier. Condescension, right and wrong obsessed. Those are the poisons of romantic relationships, but honestly relationships in general, to be honest with you. These are the anti-seducers. Brute, no patience. I would probably address this if I were her. I would address this maybe. I would just start posting my books on Instagram when people start to look for me, but I guess she's trying to aggressively promote the book. But I would probably reshape. I would make sure I'm well prepared for my comments, and she wasn't prepared. She's completely going crazy. Suffocator, neediness is in here somewhere. It needs to be right? Moralizer, the police. She's literally policing the whole black race. Literally. Cheap, tight word. That's not relevant from what I can see right now. Weird, self-conscious. Nah, I can't see that. Talkative. There you go. Talkative. Number 6. Windbag. It's anti-seducer. Triggered. Does she seem triggered? Yeah. Triggered. The reason why we can't say triggered is somebody's fault, it's just what it is, right? It's because the idea of triggered is that somebody did something and you're triggered. Okay, so we can't do the back and forth whose fault it is. We can just say you're triggered, and that's anti-seductive. Okay. No self-control. I would say this young lady is a very smart girl. She probably has on a regular day. She has good self-control, but she's caught up in her emotions right now, and all of that is in the water bottle. All of that is in the mud right now. So do you think somebody can be single for 25 years of their adult life just because of these things? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Now, obviously, we don't know her personality, just looking at what we see, right? Exactly. It's not about the race, but you, lady. Yeah. This black ass convos frustrate the F out of me. Yeah. But Ola, have you noticed that some of these so-called successful black ladies are always offensive and condescending, but think they are advocating anyways? That is why she's still single. Yeah, I'm trying to say that in the most diplomatic way. But that's the question that she asked originally. That's why I thought it was a brilliant question coming from her. You know, she actually said she brought Inyala on the show so she can talk about this stuff, which tells me that she was in a space, yes, even personally, professionally, but personally, to say, you know what, we should have this conversation because this is a real thing. I think divorcees are the least of the issues. Well, the divorced men are moving kind of mad on the internet, but divorcees in general are the least of the issues because they've clearly proven that they can attract a mate. Okay? That's not to say anybody is the issue. I'm just saying if we want to address these conversations, I would start with people that are, people like around her age range, intelligent, very smart people, but there's this one aspect of life against their will, not a choice, where they like, is there something about me? And I don't think it's an easy conversation. I think it's actually by default almost an offensive conversation by itself, just because it will make people feel some type of way. So it's a very difficult conversation. I generally don't have it with people that haven't come to me and say, hey, Ola, I need help. This is what I would like. I don't have that conversation with randoms, with just anybody. Just because I've seen them single, I don't do that. That would be absolutely offensive. But I'm just talking in general on this platform right now. There's a real problem around that same conversation. Okay? On both sides, men and women. Okay? But think that, okay, she doesn't seem to be a smart woman. Well, read books, book smart. Just, you get what I'm saying, like book smart. Yeah. Ignorant. If I don't like a person's energy, I tend to stop listening. Yeah, she's stoic. That's not attractive. Stoic. Right? She needs a private Inyala session. Yeah, she shouldn't have been trying to sell books or doing a show. She should have been, I think she said she was actually going to engage Inyala personally. She did say that. She said she wanted to straighten her crown, right? Yeah. Yep. You agree she's smart? Oh, okay. You did? What's wrong with my eyes? My glasses don't work with my computer screen, unfortunately. Oh, she does seem to be a smart woman. Yes, she is a smart woman. Yes. So let's continue. Let's see if she will find a way to concede. I'm not sure. Let's see.
Addressing the system, but first we have to name it, Charlemagne. See, that's where people's feelings are getting hurt. Is the fact that I am naming it. I am saying that it is not okay to bring C's and D's to your home and then expect to go on to higher education and acquire a higher skill set. And when you say that, that is hurtful to people, Envy. I'm acknowledging the pain. But somebody has got to start telling the truth to our people. And some of y'all wonder why you get the political representation y'all get, because some folks would rather hear things that make them feel good than understand and hear the things that are the truth. So let's talk about average.
All right, this is a perfect place for her to say note to self. Will she agree to the same thing she's saying right now? Because I feel like she's talking to herself. Is it me? It's okay to be single though. Everyone will not get married. Know this and know peace. Besides, the Breakfast Club is not the space to address this issue.
You're right.
Yeah, you're right. I actually have said that multiple times today. Majority of people that say that though,
Stop the cap.
Yeah. Just my opinion, that's all. Right? I do believe that majority of people that say it's a choice, particularly. Yeah, that's cap for the most part. But I get it. Particularly what she's saying. People want to hear what feels good. But I just wish she could say that herself, even within the context of the conversation she's having right now, right? She's reacting to her being accused of throwing the black people under the bus, right? What happens to, oh, I didn't mean to come off that way. I'm guessing it doesn't feel good to be accused of throwing the whole black race under the bus. Let's keep going.
Mediocre and typical, because a lot of people felt a way about it. Well, I looked it up. I
Pull up
did the
the
service
definitions.
of pulling it up out of Merriam-Webster. So this is not Ebony shitting on anybody, Envy.
What do I say about smart people and dictionary meaning? Smart, intelligent people and dictionary definitions are like 5 and 6 and 6. And it doesn't really help anything. She's going to tell us something that we already know. What is the definition she's pulling from dictionary right now? Webster. Not Oxford though. Webster. Let's go back.
Because a lot of
Even Webster and Oxford would disagree oftentimes. Right? They definitely disagree with the Urban Dictionary.
people felt a way about it. Well, I looked it up. I
Pull
did
up
the
the
service
definitions.
of pulling it up out of Merriam-Webster. So this is not Ebony shitting on anybody, Envy. This is simply to say when you do something average, by definition, it is of typical value. It is normal and it is standard. When you are regular, normal, acceptable. When you are mediocre, that would have people real hot. It means ordinary, medium, commonplace, and moderate.
And the bigotry, don't forget.
What does this have to do with people's feelings? What does this have to... Can somebody help me? What does this have to do with people's feelings? Remember that she's done nothing wrong outside of Shalaye. It's okay to have preferences. I expect that a woman of a caliber, right? A woman of timber and caliber, that's how they say it, right? Okay, would typically not admit that I can date a bus driver. That makes sense to me by every stretch of my imagination. I don't know the kind of people this doesn't make sense to. I'm not worried about them right now. But it makes sense to me. Is the Shalaye the mansplaining? Oh, sorry, I keep saying Shalaye. The mansplaining thing she's doing. She's over-explaining herself. That's the only thing she's done wrong. The talkative thing, right?
Get the bigotry of low expectations.
I'm gonna get to that. That's an academic study. Okay, so those of you that think it means ordinary, medium, commonplace, and moderate.
And the bigotry, don't forget the bigotry of low expectations.
I'm gonna get to that. That's an academic study. Okay, so those of you that think that's George W. Bush, go do your reading. Go do your reading. But let's talk about those words, Charlemagne. Nothing in there says you ain't shit. Nothing in there says it's bad or low or beneath.
They've applied the negative connotation to those
That's a
words.
projection, and I'm not going to stand for it because you need to be honest with the actual semantics in which we are talking about. So when you say
Precisely, it's semantics. Semantics, that's all it is, right? That has nothing to do with how people feel. Now, you don't have to apologize necessarily if you don't believe. That's not what I'm asking you. But at least can we acknowledge that feelings and dictionary meanings, they're parallels? Can we at least acknowledge that and not call people that have feelings abnormal or weirdos or mediocre, right? In fact, if you do that, you're actually you're basically giving yourself up.